Mohammad Rizwan is an improvement with both bat and gloves. Certainly on Surfraz now. I mean, Surfraz has really horribly lost form in the last few years, and is perhaps lucky to be back in the
younger side. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. You know, playing English conditions. I was saying to Bear just before you guys came on. It'll be interesting to see that, you know, obviously when Pakistan come to England, with there being such a large Pakistani community in the UK, that they always have fantastic support whenever they come over here. And I wonder how, not only the fact that England have had 3 test matches in which to become acclimatised to playing test cricket again, but also I wonder if there'll be an adverse effect on the Pakistani lads not playing in front of any fans when they would normally expect to come over and play.
We'll say on that, given how long Pakistan have not been able to play at home for playing in the UAE, if there was a test team used to playing in front of nobody, it would be Pakistan.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, actually. Yeah,
but yeah, it will be a factor. You know, the Pakistani diaspora here and the travelling fans, but the diaspora in the second and third generations now of Pakistan fans give them huge support in both Test and T20 cricket. It will be interesting. Look, I think this Pakistan team is very solid, and I think it's a good sign when you can predict basically 10 of the starting 11.
Yeah. Well, England don't have that luxury, do they? You know, when we're talking about this bowling attack, like, there's so many different options that we've got, and no one's entirely sure what they're going to go in with. Now, if they don't go in with the spinner, and as you say, Nakul, there's a possibility that Pakistan will go in with 2.
Yeah.
Yasir Shah's a fantastic bowler, has proven himself in conditions all over the world.
Shadab is still. Shadab is more of a limited overs spinner, and the two jobs are very, very different. You know, Yasir really struggles in short form cricket, but is a wonderful world-class test bowler, one of the best spinners in the world, along with Lyon and Jadeja and Ashwin. And Shadab is
arm spinner who bats as well, bats down the order, bats about 8.
You're thinking Imad Wasim? Yeah, he doesn't play test cricket.
All right.
Yeah, he'll be. We'll see him in the T20s later. He's a very good.
Is it? Are we doing? Is it just a lot of tests?
3 tests, 3 T20s.
Sorry, there's going to be T20 as well.
3 tests, then 3 T20s. Yes.
Right. I wasn't sure whether they had that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for England. I mean, you know, there's going to be a lot of good cricketers missing out. Some or possibly all of Dom Bess, Jofra Archer, Sam Curran and Mark Wood, all of those might not play.
Why wouldn't they play Archer?
Because if Stokes is fit again, they might want to bring Crawley back in, and it's pretty hard to drop Wokes right now. As much, you know, I still think that Broad, Anderson and Archer is, all things considered, England's best attack, but you know, Wokes in these conditions, and given that the same attack won't play for the entire series, I would see the logic in retaining Chris Wokes for this test match.
You know that whatever they decide will be wrong for the first test, whatever, because we always lose the first one.
Well, Chris Wokes has been talking about that, and they're all completely baffled by it. He said it is probably a coincidence, but it can't seem like a coincidence because it's happened for so long. I do think what Jono and Bear were talking about earlier is the fact that England are so much more match ready than Pakistan might make a difference. Pakistan's record in England in the last couple of tours is very good. Drew the last 2 test tours, won 2 all in 2016, won 1 all in 2018, and there's a huge. You can't read too much into the backroom stuff. There's a wealth of experience in that Pakistan backroom stuff. You've got Misbah, who's now a head coach and head selector. Yunus Khan's the batting coach. Mushtaq Ahmed is the spin bowling coach. I mean, to be fair, actually, for England, they've got. Paul Collingwood and Graham Thorpe will be splitting the assistant coach role as well, so there's no lack of experience there. Jeetan Patel will be the spin bowling consultant for the second and third games, and Jonathan Trott will be brought on as the batting consultant for this tour. So there's a lot of getting the band back together in the coaching staff.
It is, isn't it? It's a bit like the Rolling Stones getting back together or something.
Yeah, but
he's not mushy, is he?
Jeetan Patel is a wonderful county spinner. Mushtaq is a lot more charismatic and had a lot more success at test level. Obviously, former England spin bowling coach up until the end of the anti-Flower era. But I'm kind of not quite sure how long we've got left. I think actually the innings break is a bit of a movable feast, quite literally in one-day international cricket. But what would be, Jono, your 11 for England going into the Test tomorrow?
I think the batsman thing. It's the Crawley argument for me. I really like Zach Crawley. I think he's going to play a lot in an England shirt. My wife is literally looking at me over the screen saying, "No, don't pick him for whatever reason." She doesn't like his face, and so due to my wife's lack of cricketing logic, that is a reason enough not to pick Zach Crawley. But I think that's incredibly harsh.
Can your wife Lisa expand on what is wrong exactly with Zach Crawley's face?
I think she just thinks he looks posh, and she's not posh. So
if looking posh were a disqualifying factor for England cricketers, there wouldn't be very many left.
Yeah, he's not the only one, I have to say.
She absolutely adores Chris Wokes, so he's in. Loves Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think I thought in the third test, I was worried that we may have gone in a batsman light. As it turns out, West Indies, as we discussed widely when we were doing comms, on that final day, didn't look up for it, didn't look up for, trying to bat out a day. And I think we may have got away with it slightly.
It's a different challenge against a fresh-firing Pakistan attack with Mohammad Abbas and Shaheen and Nazim Shah.
Yeah, I think we need the extra batsman. I'd pick Crawley. I don't think Don Best did anything wrong. And I think that if it does turn and you haven't got a spinner, then you've got a problem.
I think Bess is a reasonable batsman, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean that isn't going to save him probably when.
No, absolutely. But,
he doesn't lengthen England's tail particularly, like some others might. And Don Bess has done quite well in this series. I wouldn't say any better than quite well. I think the fact that he is often Somerset's third choice spinner behind Leach and Van der Merwe, he doesn't have as much experience of bowling on turning day 5 tracks, and we saw that a little bit in the second test, didn't we?
I'm perfectly happy for Leach and Best to come back to Somerset if they get released.
I mean, it does sound like I think it's Warwickshire who are looking at Don Best for next season. Obviously Best and Jamie Overton as well, who is leaving.
Well, he's gone to Surrey.
He's leaving for Surrey at the end of the season. Both of them have struggled for game time. But anyway, I don't think Don Best would let anybody down. I'm usually loath to go into a Test match without a specialist spinner in most circumstances, and I think the Old Trafford pitch probably will turn.
And it'll bounce.
And it'll bounce even if the ball doesn't turn a little bit.
What we need is an on-fire Moeen Ali, really, isn't it? Still can't get a run at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's bowling well enough, but I think a fit and firing Moeen Ali is England's best spinner.
And a batsman when he's batting well.
Yes, his T20 batting's been superb for the last few years, but it's not gone well for him in Test and one-day cricket with the bat in the last 2-3 years.
I wouldn't be against dropping Jofra and say, and I don't know whether this is a fan's view or how this has necessarily come about, but I wonder whether at the minute he almost feels like he's undroppable. I think he would have played the second test and probably the third test had he not have.
I'm not sure he would have played the third if he played the second.
Well, I don't know. I just wondered that if we do leave him out, Wokes obviously bowled very well. Broad's bowled brilliantly. You're not going to drop Jimmy. I wonder if you do rest him and almost, you're not godlike. Yes, you're very talented. Yes, you bowl at 90 miles an hour. We love that. And you've got a long time to come in an England shirt. But
I wouldn't drop him.
You wouldn't?
No.
So who drops out the seam attack then?
Well,
I tell you what, now you said that.
You say you wouldn't drop Anderson. No, I wouldn't drop Anderson for all of the tests. But
we're talking specifically for the first test because
okay.
There is no way England will not play the same attack throughout this series. You would expect Sam Curran to get at least one test. You might even expect Mark Wood to get one test. So we're talking specifically for the first test.
So if you're going to go in and we don't want to lose the first test, which is something that we historically do a lot, we're picking our best side. I think bowling attack, I'd go Wokes because of how well he bowled in the last test. So, and you're only as good as your last game. Broad, well, that's self-explanatory. Anderson, self-explanatory, and he's obviously that's where he played his entire career. I would go with a spinner, and then you've got Stokes if fit as your fourth seamer, and then you've got 7 batters, including Joss as your keeper batsman. Although I don't know whether that 67 or whatever he got in that game would buy him.
But Bartler's not getting dropped, is he? Let's be honest.
Yep. That was a purely skillful innings.
I think he batted well at times during that. Anyway, we'll park these discussions and many more for a little while. I think with Gary not back, I think Johnny, you're going to have to do even more work. I might take your ball by. We'll work it out. But Johnny, do you want to take some ball by ball for the second innings? They're back out there after this jingle to signal up England's opening bowler. It'll be Jono Gordon on ball by ball. Ireland chasing 3-2-9, which they've famously done before.
You think the people would have had enough of Willie and Angels? His name's Willie. Listen, gorillas, and you'll hear it isn't so. Oh no.
Actually, might as well do both the Ireland openers while I'm at it.
Poor Stirling.
Go for it, Jono.
Willie's in. First ball to Paul Stirling. That's a full ball. No swing early, but driven up to Moeen Ali, vice captain at mid-off, and they take no run.
On-field captain, we understand, because Owen Morgan apparently has a little bit of tightness in his groin, which he felt while smashing that 100, and he won't field. Liam Livingston is on as the subfield, and Moeen Ali is on-field captain, which obviously he's done with some success with, not with Northants, Worcestershire.
David Willey obviously taking his first career fifer, 5 for 30 in the last game, so coming into this game with a fair bit of form as we look at Liam Livingston on field, and that second ball, and Stirling has a swipe at that kind of just back of length ball, but misses it, luckily for him, and that goes through to Johnny Bairstow for no run.
It's a fantastic display from David Willey in the first one-day international, taking that 5 for 30.
He's a man on a mission, isn't he?
He's had a very good series.
Yeah.
When he gets to the swing, I mean, there's nothing more. I don't think any right-handed batsman feels comfortable with a decent left-arm seamer swinging the ball back into him early doors in an innings.
No, and
then he can get the ball. Then he can get the ball to move away from him, and the in-swinger makes that delivery even more dangerous.
And
shot Stirlo.
And what a shot that is from Paul Stirling! Just stood there and punched on the up, and it's brought him the first one of these.
Super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, super shatter, rocka, super shatter.
Sparing dive in the field at cover, but nothing can be done by that. Struck very, very sweetly by Paul Stirling. Quite a squat man, Paul Stirling, not particularly small. Kind of couldn't look more Irish if he tried, I shouldn't think, but supremely talented, great timer of the ball.
Are you saying he looks Irish because he's got a ginger beard?
I couldn't possibly comment as David Billy in, and just a slightly back of length ball. Sam Billings doing the fielding at cover, and there's no run. I don't know what you could possibly be talking about, Miss J.
Perhaps he could look more Irish if he had a Guinness in his hand.
Yeah,
he could also look sort of Danish or vaguely Viking.
Yeah,
when he had a very long beard very thick beard during Ireland's first test, and he did look like a sort of Viking berserker. Paul Stirling's averaging 42 in one-day cricket in the last couple of years. He's slightly slowed himself down, reined himself in a little bit. His strike rate has dropped, but he's become a very consistent white ball batter.
I was saying in the first half, I think he'd have been looking at this wicket, licking his lips early doors. I think it's pretty flat. I think the Irish boys started to bowl into the wicket later on in the innings, which proved a bit useful, as Willie's in again, full length ball and just covered up by Paul Stirling. That goes up to mid-off for no run. I think he'll be looking forward to batting on this. He played in the Surrey Championship for Sunbury for a few years when he was at Middlesex. I know the Wimbledon boys played against him quite a lot, and he hits the ball hard. Just a natural timer of the ball. Just looking at Owen Morgan, the England captain there, he's properly changed. So I don't think he sees himself playing any.
We understand he will not.
He's done his part in the match, hasn't he?
Exactly. William to complete the over, and that's blocked down through backward point, but Mahmood comes round from deep third man and collects that, and that will end the over with 1 run. Ireland 5 for no wicket.
Yeah, Annie, who's joined us on social media after the resumption of this match.
Well, we've got Jay Grover saying Jono's wife is wise, a purge of all public school players. I think the massive squad would be reduced to about 5, mine, but that is the price we must pay for equality, and that's to do with your wife not liking Crawley for looking too public school, too posh.
She'll be very pleased that someone's picked up on her lack of cricketing knowledge and agreed with it.
But aside from that, we haven't really got anyone else on Twitter yet talking about this innings just opening. So,
well, there's plenty of time for that to come. I'll no doubt end up doing another 50 overs this half. I've had a long
Yeah, we've been
I did all morning the other day.
We've been Garryless for this match, mostly because of a weird local internet blackout in the living room in Tooting. It's going to be this Lancastrian paceman opening from the hotel end.
As Mahmood in first ball of his spell, and Stirling can already said he looked to deposit that back into Surrey. He's had an almighty swipe at that, looking to hit Mahmood straight back over his head, misses it, doesn't take the edge through to Bairstow for no run. I mean, that would have gone miles.
Yes, he wasn't holding back on that at all.
No,
it was very not dissimilar to the shot that Johnny Bairstow played to get himself out.
Mahmood, good bowler, decent pace, good to see him getting a proper opportunity in an England shirt. Oh, that one's just kind of shaped back slightly to Paul Stirling. Another big drive, slightly more check drive in style, you'd say, but again through to Bairstow, and again that's no run.
I was in a meeting all this afternoon, so I didn't see the England innings, but I saw that Bairstow didn't. Our first few didn't do very well, did they?
Got one that nipped back at him and it took an inside edge and cleaned up his middle stump. Mahmood in again, third ball of the over, straight again to Stirling, who almost looks like he tries to guide this down to third man. Doesn't look comfortable so far in this over, Paul Stirling. It goes through to the keeper again for no run.
Seeing this pitch is a little bit quicker than the rest of the pitches in this series, and we saw it a little bit even with Ireland's opening bowlers Young and Adair, and Sakib Mahmood is definitely getting a little bit of extra zip off the wicket.
Yeah,
I was just going to say Ireland need to tee off pretty much straight away though as well, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think the wicket looks pretty flat. I think if they can allow themselves to get in and boundaries will come with the fielding restrictions. As Mahmood in again, and that's played out into the offside, diving stop from Vin, and again no run. So tight, well put together field placings by Moeen Ali, acting skipper on the field, and certainly tying Stirling down at the minute in this second over. He's now 5 from 10. Delaney yet to face.
Delaney batted very well in the first innings, albeit briefly. Made a very good 20-odd. Got a duck in the second innings. Very distinctive setup at the crease, Gareth Delaney. Big high backlift.
As Mahmood in again, and Stirling's had enough of that, and he's just whopped him over mid-on, but doesn't look like he's got it cleanly. And Ali goes to retrieve that at the long-on boundary, and they will take 2. Yeah, Delaney's incredibly high backlift.
Yeah, it's even more so than Johnny Bairstow. The bat is almost above his head. It allows him huge power on the pull shot and sort of cutting square of the wicket.
Not so good for Yorkers.
Not ideal.
No. But yeah, he played some lovely drives in that innings where he got 20 odd. As Mahmood in to finish, complete his over, and that's on a thick outside edge down to the diving point fielder, backward point, and no run. Stirling on 7, Ireland 7 without loss from 2 overs.
Yeah, I've got Ravi Nair has joined us, or joined me because I have just joined you as well. Says, what can we say about the forthcoming innings except, oh gallant Ireland, they tried.
Hopefully a good deal more.
Jay Graver says it's not cricketing ignorance, Jono. I just think we need a quota system. Yeah.
Right.
Of poshos.
of not too many public school boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, this man is about to face his first ball of this third one-day international.
As Willie Into said, man, Gareth Delaney, who watches that go by harmlessly enough through to Bairstow for no run. I remember when I was watching the highlights from the first game when he got 20 off, and his backlift is highly unusual. I mean, there are a fair few players that like to get the hands high and the bat high, but I mean that's unusually high.
It's much more baseball-like, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, he played some glorious drives, and his hands are so far up the handle, he just allows him to lean on it and the fulcrum points and all that.
Talented all-round cricketer, Gareth Delaney.
As he has a slight little nibble at that one. I'm not yet to see Willie start to shape the ball back into the right-handers. But that was a just back of length ball that fended out, if you like, or nibbled at rather by Gareth Delaney as it goes through to Bairstow for no run.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him during the World T20 qualifier at the end of 2019, or autumn of 2019. His power at the top of the innings, he's got a good range of strokes, and the fact that he is a leg spinner who can turn the ball both ways. I think that, with Delaney and Adair and Canther and a few others, sort of with Stirling and Balbirnie as the senior players, this new generation of Ireland could be good if they're given enough opportunities.
Yeah, that's the key.
That's another length ball from David Willey, played at by Delaney, but again just beats the outside edge and through to Bairstow for no run. Yeah, I think Ireland cricket's going to constantly evolve and constantly improve, isn't it? I mean, they have, when Scotland beat England up in Edinburgh that day, they will have these fantastic days where they beat nations that in theory they perhaps shouldn't, but I think it's about
do need the opportunity.
Scotland have barely played a one-day international since that game.
Yeah.
As Willian again, and that's just defended off the back foot out to Sam Billings at cover, who's got some wonderfully blue shoes on. Sam Billings, they're real strange blue, but very fetching.
I'll have to keep an eye on those.
I want to see them now.
Obviously with the World Cup Super League, this is the first of 8 guaranteed series that Ireland have. 3-match series against nations ranked higher than them over the next 2 years, which is fantastic and is what all of these nations at this level need. I think Scotland are probably definitely a better one-day team than Ireland, but they're just not getting the opportunities.
As Willie's in, that's a slightly straighter ball. Thoughts of an appeal, but that's definitely pitched outside leg stump. Ball ricochets out into the backward point region and it's picked up, but again there is no run. Delaney yet to score.
We're seeing, Scotland aren't in the World Cup Super League. The Netherlands are, and I think that the Netherlands, of all of the nations in the World T20 qualifier, have the best seam attack. They've got a lot of seamers who've got like Paul van Meekeren, who's got experience in county cricket, Tim van der Hoogstoen, who's got experience in county cricket, Brandon Glover, who's got a lot of experience in South African cricket and is properly quick.
As Willie's in again, and another slash at that one by Delaney, but again missed as Bairstow collects. Maiden there from David Willey, he's number 5 from 2. Ireland remains 7 without loss now from 3 overs.
We've got a tweet from Tom O'Pollett saying, does it seem a little odd that Ireland put England into bat and that Morgan said he would have bowled first given how the wicket is playing?
England, Morgan did say that he would have bowled first at the toss, but having lost the toss, it wasn't his choice.
I think it's a good pitch, and if you expect it to be a good pitch, chasing isn't that big a deal. It's not like the World Cup where the pitches were slowing down towards the end of the tournament, and you need to bat first, really.
As Mahmood in and slashed away by Paul Stirling, but well fielded at backward point. That inner England fielding ring has been fantastic so far in the short time that they've been out there, but very tight. Picked up there by Tom Banton, sliding on his knees like a child at a wedding.
Talking of Tom Banton, I know he got 50 odd, but how did he bat?
It's a good knock. Very controlled.
Yeah.
We didn't see any of the flicks and scoops that we often see, and the sort of hockey whips through the leg side that we sometimes see from him.
Mahmood in again to Stirling, who I think that may be called wide.
So beating him between bat and pad, I think.
Maybe beating him, so he sort of maybe just caught something on the way through. Stirling looking to play an aggressive pull shot to that, just kind of back of length delivery, but no harm done. Hold on, we can see. Oh wow, it's done. It's cut him in half. I thought it had beaten him down the leg side. Maybe the old mince pies are going.
Yeah, you've been on too long, Jono. That's what it is. You need a break, mate.
I managed to grab myself a bowl of Cocoa Pops just before I came on. There's Mahmood in again to the right-handed Stirling, and that is just defended out to the backward point region. Banton picks up again, no run.
Stirling's only scored 2 runs off his last 9 balls. Something got to give?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not the kind of batsman who likes to be tied down. He was often thought of as a T20 and one-day specialist, so he likes to hit the ball. Obviously, when he does play, or when he did play county cricket for Middlesex, he'd often bat further down the order. I think they did give him a go at opening a few times, but it never really was proven to work. But yeah, I think something will give. I think we'll see some fireworks at some point. As Mahmood in again, and Stirling almost more of a check drive. It almost looked like he thought about trying to go over the top there, but that's just run away down to third man, picked up by David Willey, and they will take 1 run. Mahmood bowls a decent pace. I've not really seen a huge amount of him. Obviously, he's had limited international experience. Seems to have been on a fair few tours without ever having to get many opportunities.
He's good at taking out the drinks, apparently. Yeah.
Well, he's performed incredibly well for Lancashire, hasn't he, over the last couple of years?
Yeah. More so, notably in the Royal London One Day Cup. A couple of years ago. He is quick, he gets a little bit of movement, and he's only going to improve over the next few years. He looked a little bit raw when he first came into the England team, but I think he's obviously a very quick learner. Interesting fielding placement, we've got a very sort of short catching point.
As Mahmood now into Delaney, who just has a massive heave at that, doesn't get anywhere near it, completely lost his shape. I don't know whether the kind of 6+ and over that they know that they've got to go at now, almost 4 overs in, having only 8 on the board is starting to tell. And the Irish boys wanting to get field bat on ball. There's been a lot of playing missing so far. Obviously Delaney now none from 7 balls. Just looking at Mahmood's speeds this series, 56% of his deliveries at between 85 and 90, 41% between 80 and 85.
That's not bad.
Not many slower balls. It's in again now to Paul Stirling. That's lifted just over mid-wicket.
Delaney.
Williams basically.
Delaney, your eyes really are going.
I thought it was Delaney. Crikey, O'Reilly. Well fielded by Sam Delaney the best, and they take 1. Gareth Delaney to be on strike for the start of the next over.
Yeah, obviously he had we were talking about the first innings, the first one day international. He scored 22 off 16 in the first one day international, but then 0 off 12, and he's now 1 not out off 8. And it can happen that you sort of lose your shape and you try and hit the ball too hard in the face of these kind of targets. It's understandable, and particularly Ireland are being forced up a level by this series and by this ODI Super League, but particularly against this England team.
As David Willey now into start his third over. That looks slightly slower, and that short catching point, there was a real chance there, I think. I'm not sure if it was dropped or just wide of the man there, but there was certainly a dive put in to try and take the catch. But it didn't go for a boundary, so I think he must have got a hand to it, but they do take 1, and Delaney now onto 2 from 9. The thing with international cricket now, there is so much analysis and so much video analysis that even from one innings, the data guys and the statisticians will have said, right, okay, well, he doesn't seem to play well here, so they will have already honed in on an area.
There was some analysis on that in the second ODI, which I'll come to after this ball.
That's Willey in shot now, and that's well played. Just kind of almost a back foot push from Paul Stirling. Sam Billings out there, great stop. There's his shoes for you, Annie.
Yes.
As the batsman returned for a well-run 2.
Obviously, he's quite public school, isn't he?
Oh, he's very posh. Bear was saying before the start of play that he sounds like Prince Harry.
He does a little.
When your parents own a golf course, you're probably not going to do too bad.
Is that right?
Yeah, Red Libbets.
Don't know it. I don't play golf.
that.
But
You're
yeah,
missing out.
I don't think I've played golf enough to know that I'm not. Sure.
That's absolutely crashed through a kind of square point region by Paul Stirling. It brings in one of these.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Yeah, don't bowl short and wide to Paul Stirling. Yeah, there was some analysis on, obviously, David Willey wreaked havoc in the first ODI and did bowl well in the second, and Reece Topley was causing some problems. There was some talk that the Irish batters were getting a bit closed off to the left armour going over the wicket, so they weren't opening their stance out particularly, and so the bat was having to come round the front pad.
Okay.
With Delaney and Stirling and Balbirnie and a few others.
Be nice to see Stirling get some runs, wouldn't it? Big runs, big hit out.
Well, everybody's really keen to see Ireland put up a fight here and have a, make it into a decent game. As Willie in, it's a well-directed ball, just slightly back of length. Probably looked like it hit just on the splice, but no harm done. They thought about a quick single or a single in Paul Stirling's case. Eventually decided against it.
Yeah, he's powerful. He's powerful with it. Seeing this field, it's a very offside dominant field that David Willey's got to Paul Stirling. I think there might only be 2 men on the leg side. Certainly, there's only 2 saving 1.
Yeah. As Willie in again, 5th ball of the over. Stirling goes well outside his off stump and just works that through a backward square leg region. That, I'm guessing, it's a great piece of work by Liam Livingstone as he passes it to Rashid, who then throws it back. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if this was 4 runs.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this. Yeah, Stirling recognising that there was a short fine leg in the mid on and then deep square leg. What's Livingstone done here? Has he got that away? Oh, that's brilliant work by Liam Livingstone.
Phenomenal. That's a phenomenal piece of work. Congratulations, that man. I'm not sure whether Owen Morgan would have been able to do that. So,
No, I don't think he would. No.
certainly not with a tight groin. So, wise decision to bring Mr. Livingstone on, I think. Williams complete his over. It's a short ball to Delaney. Didn't really get any of it, and it looks like they're going to take an easy one as Livingston returns that into Bairstow. Completes the 5th over, Ireland 20 without loss.
I'll just say hello to Sajid Khan on Crick Tracker. He says hi. Haven't had many people on I can never say Crick Tracker or Twitter, so come and send us some messages, guys.
Not great that for a commentator. You can't speak and I can't see. We're
yeah. Let us know your thoughts on this game or the Pakistan series to come, please, on all available platforms. Seeing that Derbyshire, Yorkshire and Leicestershire have racked up victories in the first round of the Bob Willis Trophy.
Somerset played well, didn't they?
Yeah, Somerset absolutely battered Glamorgan.
As Mahmood in, and that Delaney's just almost backed off that one, just giving himself room outside the leg stump, but crashed it through that square point region for another one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, lovely shot by Delaney. Just giving himself that bit more room, not getting so closed off, and trusting his hands. He's obviously got very good hand-eye coordination, Gareth Delaney. In the South Group, Essex, Middlesex and Sussex all won. Essex, a squeaker, Middlesex wrapping up getting that final wicket that we were talking about actually a little bit before lunch. Not-Fred was basically commentating on that game while commentating on this game earlier.
They'll be very pleased to beat Surrey.
There's Mahmood in, short ball, well, back of length ball rather than a short ball. Delaney looking, it's probably too close to cut there, and it's through to Bairstow for no run.
And Sussex, I think, won that yesterday, didn't he? Ollie Robinson again. Taking bucket loads of wickets. Phil Salt with a couple of 50s.
He's another one to watch, Salt, I think. He's been at the Big Bash, people rate him very highly. Yeah, a bit unlucky not to be in this team, particularly after smashing a 58-ball 100 in the warm-up match. Mahmood in, 3rd ball of his 3rd over, into Delaney, who just seems to slightly back off that one. It looks like they're trying to score runs through, forcing it through the offside, but England fielding well, and there is no run.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's no boundary riders in front of the square on the offside, so if you do get it, and it's a quick outfield, so if you get it through there, this is very much Johnny Bairstow's tactic in the first 10 overs, and he's very good at it. But Delaney seems to be a lot more comfortable in this innings, at least backing away and making room for himself through the offside.
Mahmood in again to Delaney with that very high backlift, who I'm not sure whether he does get an under edge on that, but it's gone through down to a short fine leg. Jason Roy runs after it, does the fielding, and they do come through for a single.
Not Fred's been updating us on the county scores. Apparently it was Derby's biggest fourth inning chase in their history. I didn't know that. And Leicester need 150 and 17 overs.
Oh, they needed that, and one with 8.
115 and 17 overs, and one with 8 balls to spare.
Leicestershire reacquainted themselves with winning.
When you consider they can park everybody on the boundary. As Mahmood in again to Stirling, who just covers up, and that is trundling out to backward point, but well fielded, and no run taken. 89 miles an hour, that delivery from Mahmood. So certainly letting go of it today.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's I don't think it's my eyes. I think it's Sky's coverage. It looks like
it can't be you.
The light looks a bit flat to me. You know when they say light flat and you can't see your golf ball too well, and you know when you're skiing and you can't quite see what's going on.
It's a bit sort of thin and wan.
As Mahmood in, and again Stirling covers up and just defends that out to the offside. And again they take no run. That completes the 6th over. Ireland 25 without loss. Paul Stirling now changing his gloves. Can't sweat that much inside 6 overs, can you?
Well, he's a big lad.
If you've got sausages for fingers, you probably can.
It's a warmish day.
I have some tweets.
Brilliant.
I've got Jay Grover says Billings owns half of Kent, Butler owns half of Somerset. Together they call it the playground. And Anna Forsyth has said it's a picture of her dancing, say, live, look at me and Tony. That's Middlesex for you.
Very good. Reacquainted themselves with winning.
And Neymar Butlin says, I'm not sure I like all this public schoolboy criticism. As an ex-boarding school chap, I would like to lodge a complaint against guerrilla cricket. I really miss beating the squits and robbing all their tuck. Dreadfully sorry, Neymar.
That's what we need. Pray for the public school boys.
It's Willie in to start his 4th over. Looks like he rolled his fingers across that one, maybe. Straight ball again. No swing to be seen from Willie thus far, but that's just worked out into the mid-on region, and they come through for a single. I'm not sure who you would complain to about guerrilla cricket, but good luck. I mean, it's probably going to be a wasted letter. I can't imagine. Send it to Bear. Any complaints, please send to the Bear. And
he does own the flat we're broadcasting out of. So if anyone.
I think the Tory party might have some complaints as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. There's Willie in again to Stirling, who times the pants off it, but straight to extra cover, and they take no run. I need to take umbrage at Paul Stirling's pads. He's wearing blue pads.
It doesn't go, does it?
They're both wearing blue
no.
pads, aren't they? The Ireland one-day pads are blue against the green. Have been for a little while, actually.
Awful.
It's just not right. It should all be green.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. I don't mind the helmets in blue, but again, you'd rather they were in green.
They've got green clover on them.
Willie in again. He just steps across his off stump there, Paul Stirling. And that, again, brilliant field from Liam Livingston, who turns that, absolutely dead set 4 into just a 2. And stuff like that can really shift momentum in games as well.
Is he the Gary Pratt of this England side, do you think?
Is that a cross-scene delivery, I think, from David Willey? He's picked up a few tricks from Liam Plunkett. Yes, that's good work from Stirling, though, because he walks across to the offside and picks out the massive gap in the leg side. He's actually quite unlucky that he got it so close enough to Livingston. I mean, he had a bit of work to do, even so.
It's Willie in again, past the umpire, and that's in at leg stump. It goes to Adil Rashid, picking that up at short fine leg, who has a bit of a shy at the non-striker's end, but comfortably through for 1 leg far.
When do we do I think that fielder's Livingston, I presume?
Very good.
Do we do that one?
You've just done it.
Yeah.
Not Fred informs us that Lancashire did indeed have everyone on the boundary in the last few overs, as Australia did to Ben Stokes famously at Headingley. I'm never sure that tactic really works.
As Willie in again now to Delaney short ball, and Delaney looks a bit out of sorts today. He just almost too desperate to hit it almost, and he has barely hit anything. Living pretty dangerously. He looks pretty close to nicking off to quite a lot of these deliveries, but so far neither scoring well nor nicking
It's
off.
not flowing for him, is it?
No,
Yeah.
he's losing his shape a little bit. I mean, there's the high backlift is all well and good, and I think it's I don't necessarily agree with some of the criticism of it, but with a lot of moving parts, once the timing gets out of sync, it can be difficult.
There's Willian again, full straight ball. Again, looks like he's tried to run his fingers across that one a little bit to Delaney, who just covers up and blocks it back up the pitch for no run. 29 for no wickets lost from 7 overs.
Ravi says, Ravi Reddy says, what are the odds of history repeating itself, England versus Ireland?
Yes, 329 was what they chased in that famous game in Bangalore in the World Cup where Kevin O'Brien smashed a 50-ball 100.
What are the odds then? The odds must be
What they
pretty
were
low.
at 7 overs.
I don't know what they were after 7 overs in that game. I can look it up, I suppose.
Come on, Tackle, you're losing your touch.
Yeah, come on, I expected him to know it all. Jay Graver says, Somerset's public school elite once again massacre noble Celtic sons of the soil due to superior firepower and probable rickets. Serious, just heard Robinson's bowling stats yesterday. Good lord, yeah, they weren't bad.
The last couple of years, he is the best first-class seamer in the world.
Wow, as Mahmood into Paul Stirling, who covers up and blocks that up to an advancing extra cover fieldsman, and they take no run.
We were talking in the innings break about the fact that England are going to have to leave at least three good bowlers out of their first Test 11. Ollie Robinson into the squad for the second game hasn't been able to get a look in despite those numbers. England have suddenly got this immense depth of seam bowling, and Ollie Stone, who apparently bowled well the other day for Warwickshire.
He just struggles with injuries a bit, Stone, doesn't he? But certainly bowls very, very quick. As Mahmood in, and Stirling just decided to have a bit of a swipe at that one. It gets the thick inside edge up to Moeen Ali, who fields it at mid-on, and they come through for a quick single.
I just want to reply to Jay Graver there, saying that I think there's about 4 or 5 of the Somerset lads that aren't from public schools, actually.
Yeah, they were homeschooled.
No, not at all.
They didn't think the public school system was quite good enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough for them.
Sorry, Annie, I couldn't help it. There's Mahmood now, 3.2 overs, none for 10 as it stands, past the umpire and into Paul Stirling, who kind of carves that one down to David Willey, fielding in the shadows at deep third man, back up to Johnny Bairstow, and they just come through for 1.
Delaney, who carved that down to third man. The shadows
Delaney had been devastated with me for referring to him as Paul Stirling twice. He looks like a fit young man.
Yeah, he's pretty...
He's a little taller as well.
Yes, he's a very different physical shape to Paul Stirling.
More person-shaped than ball.
You are Blofeld, aren't you?
If only.
No, look, a pigeon.
No, you don't want to be that old.
To be Henry.
I remember. I'll come to that after this ball.
As Mahmood in again past the umpire, kind of slightly short, but and Stirling lofts that high into the stands. That's gone 15 rows back, and is now just settling on the concrete up on the concourse at the Aegeus Bowl, and it rings.
No fans to go and get the ball. It's just weird, isn't it?
I believe in miracles. Since you came to bat, you sexy thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you sexy thing.
Right out of the screws, not even that short. That's gone miles.
That's a decent shot that from Paul Stirling, who's now 26 off 28 balls, so finding a bit more fluency. He's hit some lovely shots. He's kind of gotten away with a few and played and missed at a few, but If he can creep up towards 40, 50 and get himself in, it could prove dangerous for the England side. Wowzers! He picked Mahmood up again and dispatched him into the stands for another one of these.
2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row.
Sam Billings has been dispatched into row C to fetch that one. Higher this time, but no less powerful for it. I was going to say about Henry Blofeld. A couple of Ashes series ago, he welcomed viewers to the start of the 1915 Ashes. Or listeners, rather, sorry.
He was probably there for them as well.
Yeah, he probably would have been. What a character that man, though.
Completely lost the plot towards the end of his career.
He's like one of those batsmen that likes to score with boundaries, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's not a nerdler, shall we say. Mahmood in now, having conceded 14 from the over, and that has Stirling's gone at that one a little bit. It's worked away off a thick outside edge, kind of head height, just probably a couple of yards wide, a backward point, and down to David Willey, who returns, and they take one. So that's.
I'd love him to have nerdled that one then.
It went where a nerdle to third man would go, but he was trying to smash it over cover.
The big shots there. That's certainly that first one went many a mile.
Yeah, indeed, and it's like a really good over for Ireland with the 9 runs off it, and Stirling staying on strike. I think Delaney's best bet here is just to give Stirling, just try and knock singles around, give Stirling the strike, and get himself into his innings a bit.
Sterling now going at better than a run of ball. Delaney struggling at a rate of just over 50 per 100 balls. Sterling now facing up to David Willey, who's about to start his 5th over. 44 without loss from 8. As Willey starts it from the top of his mark in past the umpire. And that's a full ball aimed in at leg stump. I think David Willey looks like he's trying to bowl just kind of out the side of the hand a little bit, just slower balls into the wicket, but that's fielded at deep square leg and returned to Johnny Bairstow as they take one.
If he bowled it there on purpose to get Stirling off strike.
Yeah, I mean, look, thinking sometimes you do. You say, look, let's give him one, and then let's put pressure on the other lad. If the other lad's at the other end's just chewing up balls, and you can just bowl dots to him to manage the scoring rate, especially if it looking like Stirling's getting a bit more fluent. That's a slower ball bouncer from David Willey, but leg side and given quite rightly so a wide by.
It's a pretty hideous delivery from David Willey. Completely, it looked like he sort of got stuck in his hand a little bit.
Yeah, which at international level you wouldn't think would happen. Just looking at the scorecard of that famous game when England were 327 for 8 from 50 and Ireland 329 for 7 from 49.1, that fantastic innings of 113 from Kevin O'Brien. As Willey in again, very full ball this time to Gareth Delaney, who blocks that up to Moeen Ali at mid-off, but they come through for a complete run 1.
It's good from Delaney.
Yeah, just doing the right thing. Stirling's looking a lot more fluent now. As you quite rightly said, if he can just try and work singles and get off strike, the longer that Delaney stays there, the easier it will become and the more fluent he will become. So he's just got to have confidence in the fact that, by spending time out there, his runs will start to flow more easily. So he's absolutely doing the right thing. As Stirling very much batting on off stump, just then works that full ball, just again angled in at middle and leg stump from David Willey into mid-wicket. The mid-wicket fielder sat on the edge of the 30-yard circle, just almost looking like they're willing to give Paul Stirling those ones at the minute in the circle.
Well, he's looking hot after that single.
Yeah, it's actually only 18 degrees down in Southampton, so it's not even that warm. I mean, the required run rate is edging; it's up over 6.75 and over, so you don't necessarily mind singles at this stage if you're Moeen Ali, England's sub-captain, as it were. Vice captain.
Willian again, this time to Delaney, who just blocks that, but blocks it down under his nose, which just allows them to run through for another quick single fielded at backward point. I still think you've always got to try and look to get wickets rather than just trying to manage the scoring rate, if that makes sense.
the one can lead to the other, though. Particularly when a team
but
needs
also,
nearly 7 and
if
over.
If they're finding it easy to rotate the strike, their confidence is only growing from the more time that they're spending out there. If they look up at the board and they're ticking the scoring along quite nicely, then often it'll help the batsman to relax as well. Willie in now again, and that's just worked off his hit by Paul Stirling as Rashid just runs around a few yards, 5 yards to his left to back of square leg as they come through for a 1.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you can score 6 and over, if you can not have those dot balls mounting up, then yes. Obviously there was that period earlier where it was a lot of dot balls in a row from Saqib and Willie, and it looked like the big shot was coming any minute, and some mistake was gonna happen. But the target is big. Sterling's an aggressive player. Delaney's out of sorts.
There's Willie in again as time, and I was wondering about that, but David Willey has bowled Delaney leg stump, and it looks like he's been bowling for that as they're moving so far across the crease. But it's brought England their first wicket.
Yet another wicket in this series for David Willey. Delaney, that thing you pointed out of him and Stirling walking across to off stump, going back and across to the left armour, it's left him with nowhere to go. He's got no room to play. He can't free his arms, and he's lost his ankle completely there and been bowled around his legs.
Yeah, it looked really awkward, that, didn't it?
Yeah, it's not as a batsman. It's fine trying to get the bowler to bowl into an area where you want them to, where you're comfortable. I think obviously England have set a very strong offside field, so they're not sure whether they can penetrate that, so it's almost forcing them to do something different. So yeah, excuse me, that's well bowled by David Willey.
I've got a few tweets. Jay Grover says, Jono, saying, when you can't see your golf ball or when you're skiing. Jay Grover says, no, I do not.
Just to clarify, I did not go to public school.
Josie Oak says, since when do commentators wear jackets with a pocket hanky? Knackle, I think, might be referring to you.
You've never seen me commentate before.
I was going to say, every time. That was standard get-up, like every time.
And one more, James says, not to take any credit from Leicester, but we might have had a better chance if Anderson, Onions, Mahmood, Gleeson, Livingstone and Butler had been available.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue with... To be fair, Somerset have quite a lot of their players missing on England duty at the moment. Anyway, that brings the Irish captain come to the middle, although he won't be facing, because that wicket from Willie was the last ball of the ninth over. We'll have a change at the end of the 10th. Hopefully Gary will come back on and relieve Jono, and we'll have Nestle Boy and not Fred. If that doesn't work, then I think we'll probably have not Fred coming on to ball by ball, and Annie, you'll stay on. So stay alert in case someone needs to replace Gary. Anyway, change of bowling.
He's not South African. Let Tom Curran.
As Curran in for the first ball of his spell, just at probably 4th stump line. I think his variations might work quite well for him today, but Stirling works that into the leg side. The fielder on the deep mid-wicket boundary comes in and tidies up, and they will take 1 run, bringing the Irish captain onto strike, who is this man.
Here comes Andrew Balbirnie, he's a total hero. Here comes Andrew Balbirnie, he's the sweetest bat I know.
Lovely player, Andy Balbirnie. Hasn't done himself justice in this series.
As they're current into him, and that's angled in, full ball angled in at leg stump, and Balbirnie just blocks that up to mid-on for no run, as Moeen Ali just tries to shift his field a little bit, telling the third man, from what I could see, to just move slightly finer. Clever bowler Tom Curran, sometimes gets it slightly wrong and goes the distance, but I think with his variety of different deliveries, has done pretty well for England, and certainly Surrey at different times. as he turns at the top of his mark now, third ball of his first over, and that's into Balbirnie, full ball, at probably middle and off, and that's blocked up the pitch to mid-off, and they will take no run.
As Andy Balbirnie hands a piece of card back to the umpire. I'm not quite sure what that was about.
Might have been a bit of Gareth Delaney that fell off out of David Willey's pocket.
Yeah,
Boom.
won't be sandpaper anyway.
As Tom Curran with finally a reasonable haircut. That looked like it just shaped back into Andrew Balbirnie slightly, but again, blocked nicely, just back up the pitch and tidied up at mid-off. It's really nice to see Tom Curran with something that resembles a normal haircut.
Why? What was it like before?
Oh, well, he used to have the kind of slick back in the top knot. And then
He had the top knot when I first saw him, and then he had the sort of mini Brett Lee thing, which looked alright actually, the sort of spikes pointing forward.
As he's in now for the fifth ball of his over again, that's full to Balbirnie, who gets that under the diving extra cover fielder, and there's a chase on for Mahmood. That's well fielded at the extra cover boundary. No doubt that they'll probably run two. Oh no! Wow, Stirling's run a 3. Who knew?
Big ground.
You'll be exhausted, poor lad.
Or it's a 1. No, it's a 3. Wow!
Wow!
Miracles do happen. No, I'm joking. I'm obviously joking. Fine cricketer is Mr. Paul Stirling. Brings him back on strike, and it's the last ball of the Tom Curran over before we have a change. That now to Paul Stirling, and that's again looks like a slower ball, almost a leg cutter, but works through square leg by Paul Stirling, and he takes another 1. That sees me depart for the time being. I shall see you all later on, and good luck, ladies and gents.
Bye, Jono. Well done.
Yeah, so hopefully it will be Jono, Nestle, and not Fred. Gary, Jono, and Gary, Nestlers, and not Fred.
So I'll leave now then.
But
leave now, dear.
But be advised, you may
go
be
and get
called
yourself
back
a cup
into
of
action
Coke,
any
can't you?
minute.
Well, I'm hoping that my broadband will allow me to deliver some commentary now. It hasn't been the easiest today, but I'm delighted to be back. One feels that this is an important partnership for the Irish. Of course, they still have Kevin O'Brien to come, and who could forget his heroics in 2011? Certainly not the likes of me, who was commentating on Test Match Sofa when that happened. But we do have a change of bowling. It's the captain bringing himself on.
Our beard shouldn't touch. Move over, AMLO. I like it too much. Move over, AMLO. You're one hairy dish I love unconditionally. It's Moeen Ali,
who's up to Paul Stirling, who just jabs it to mid-wicket, and there is no run. I'm calling him the captain because Owen Morgan is not likely to appear in this innings, having given himself a groin strain in making that 100 earlier today. And Paul Stirling backs away, and he comes off this shot, and he looked like he was trying to slam it over cover, actually. But in the end, he cross-batted it and got it just over the head of extra cover, and they're through for 2, so they're not just going to let Moeen bowl here.
No. Who's doing what, gentlemen?
I'm doing tweets, I think.
I'm doing ball by ball, I understand.
Social media.
As this is full, and it's just jabbed by Paul Stirling to mid-wicket, who's going to be very much in the game to the off-spinner, as they always are.
Sorry, I take it back, Fred. You're tweeting.
And Moeen's in again, and this is slammed by Paul Stirling. He hasn't got all of it, and it drops probably about halfway back to the boundary, straight over the head of Moeen, and they're through for 2. So anything could have happened in this over so far. 2 miscues in the air by Paul Stirling have each brought a couple of runs. They could each have brought his wicket, though, and Moeen somehow has just gone a run a ball, but 4 balls, extreme excitement, as the next ball is just driven back to Moeen, who fields well off its own bowling, and it is no run. The Irish 59 for 1, their target is somewhat distant, 329. And we'll have your tweets after this delivery, because Moeen's in again over the wicket to the right-handed Paul Stirling, who gets a ball that takes the pad. There's a very half-hearted appeal, and that's the end of the over. Your tweets.
Not much on the tweet front. Jay Grover says, as Durham, Yorkshire was rained off this morning, I listened to Surrey, Middlesex. Mark Church was getting obsessed with cranes and pigeons. I fear Blofeld has an heir. That's a bit harsh. I have to say, there was some extraordinary cricket played up and down the country today. We had Derbyshire completing their highest ever county fourth innings chase to win a game. Their history, I mean, it's a 150-year history. Lancashire managed to lose an almost unlosable game for Leicestershire. Gary, I'm sure you were keeping track of that one.
Yes, I was. It's a very green Lancashire side, but they still should have got over the line.
And Surrey, batting to save a draw against Middlesex, had their last man, Ricky Clark, stumped, which doesn't happen very often.
It's Tom Curran of Surrey who gets a ball length outside off stump, and Andy Balbirnie does a smart move, which is just to jab it into the offside and turn the strike over to Paul Stirling, who has 42.
And apart from the Glamorgan Somerset game, which was very one-sided, it's been 4 days of absolutely splendid cricket up and down the country.
Yes,
with everybody playing, and it's just been so good to have it back.
I couldn't agree more. I'll be writing my column that will appear in the Guardian Online tomorrow after the match finishes tonight. You've missed out a particularly exciting game, which I'll come to in a moment, as Tom Curran is on or about off stump. Paul Stirling has no timing there. He jabs inside edge onto the pad, and there is no run.
You mean the Kent-Essex game?
Yeah, I mean, Essex have just... they know how to win cricket matches, and they were out of that match at least once when they were 140 behind, 5 wickets down on first innings, and yet they hold on, and they know that they have these cricketers who can get them through to a win. And sure enough, they did. Tremendous match. Well played, Kent, as well. But this is Tom Curran at the Aegeus Bowl, who's on a line and length to Paul Stirling, who somewhat hesitantly comes forward and just pushes that into extra cover. He's never going to get you the strike rotating single too often, Paul Stirling. He's a stand and deliver man. He uses those strong forearms, that strong base he has through his legs, trunk, and he puts a bit of weight behind the ball. I think he's best to just keep firing here rather than try and do much that's clever with the bat. Andy Balbirnie, as captain at the other end, can do that. But Curran's in. This is slightly fuller, and Stirling steers a cover drive to the man sweeping out there on the fence, and they're through for one. So this is good bowling here from Tom Curran. He mixes up his speeds, but generally his line and length is pretty good. He will give you the bouncer the odd time, and he will give you the odd slower ball, but in the main he's not easy to get away, and that's why he's very much in and around this England one-day setup. And he's in again over the wicket right arm. This is more of a half volley, and Balbirnie drives, but again he picks out the man sweeping on the cover boundary, and just single ensues.
James Moosh is bemoaning the number of players who weren't available for Lancashire, and he's not entirely using it as an excuse, but he's using it as an excuse. Jay Grover says somewhat implausibly that Knackle is the only one of you buggers who knows how to dress, because Yorkshire style is world style.
There's Tom Curran to finish off a very impressive over, and Paul Stirling can do nothing with this except jab the ball off the inside edge into the leg side, which is somewhat sparsely populated given the line that Curran is pursuing, and therefore they go through for the single. Ireland 63 for 1. Sterling has 44. The target at him a distant, not quite improbable, a distant 329.
It is a distant.
He's underplaying the Bears' sartorial elegance.
Oh yes.
I mean, he'd certainly feature in magazines of some sort, with police lineups, mugshots, or something.
Yeah, he's more rogue than Vogue, to be fair, but you know,
he has a style,
all his own.
South London. I was going to say South London street kid, but he's 50 next birthday, so it's about time he bloody grew up.
There was a county game finished yesterday. Sussex registered the first victory, and I've called them the two players who were the architects of that victory, the him again players, because when you do county roundups, as I do every week during the season, there are players that just keep cropping up. Two of them over the last few years have been Dominic Sibley and Rory Burns, both of whom find themselves at the top of the order for the Test 11. But the other players are Phil Salt, who always seems to crop up, and Ollie Robinson, and they were absolutely instrumental. Phil Salt in particular scoring almost a quarter of the runs in the match off the bat, and Ollie Robinson doing what Ollie Robinson does, which is to take wickets. We see, after a consultation, we appear to have a free hit no ball here. I presume that must be for the front foot, which are being called upstairs. So that was not the end of Tom Curran's excellent over, but a free hit from the now to be bowled again 6 ball, and it's Paul Stirling who will be looking to knock this out of the park. It's short outside off stump, and he rides that one, does Stirling. Played it quite well because he hit it over the head of the man at backward point, and he got it to the fence for one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it was a slow bouncer from Curran, which wasn't a bad option in the circumstances, because he couldn't get the leverage that he would have wanted. In fact, it was Balbirnie who was hitting that ball. But that's an error on the part of England there. They cut out these no balls in the one-day cricket, but one crept in there after some consultation between the umpiring team, as I suppose we should call them. The TV umpire in this series calling all the no balls. Moeen is in, and Paul Stirling hits this into one of the spaces on the leg side, and it's the kind of thing that perhaps Ponting and Clark would have been looking for 2 there, but Stirling and Balbirnie will be happy with 1 out to the man running in from the square leg boundary.
Mustaq Ahmed asks, why did Ireland not consider Gary Wilson and William Porterfield for this series? Well, they are actually in the squad, but they haven't been selected. I think Ireland are trying to move on.
Just a conceded single, I would suggest there, from Moeen, bowling it fairly full outside off stump, and it's just lent on, and the ball goes to long on, where David Willey tidies up. Balbirnie now in double figures with 10.
Neymar Butlin says, thinking about creating a piece of conceptual art on my street in Los Angeles. I'll continue after this ball.
As Paul Stirling gives it the full face, Moeen fields off his own bowling.
He says, there's an old disused love seat outside an apartment building that I will label Test Match Sofa and put a bronze of a male stripper next to it and call it Hot Mike.
Oh dear. This is very full, and Stirling drives that for another conceded single to the man.
What I can say is, Neymar, if somebody offers you $5 million for it, just give us a cut. Because anything's possible in Los Angeles.
Right.
Moeen is in again, and it's a little quicker, and Balbirnie goes back to cut that ball, but was beaten for pace, and Johnny Bairstow takes off the bails, but Balbirnie's back foot was anchored. It's got the whiff of the boring middle overs about it at the moment here.
Well, lucky game, Gary.
Both sides are happy to take 1 per ball, and Balbirnie demonstrates that by leaning on one that goes to the man sweeping on the square leg boundary, whom I believe to be Tom Curran. The ball is flung back in. Ireland's 72 for 1. Sterling has 46 and Balbirnie has 11.
I think Ireland are just ticking over until they look at the scoreboard and go, right, okay, let's try and press the accelerator down. I mean, they're doing the right thing at the moment, aren't they? Not a lot more they can do, really.
Well, I'm not so sure, because I think...
I mean, these two haven't performed so far, have they?
No, I mean, I think you can do that if a target's 300. I think your window for ticking things over with a target of 329 is pretty limited, really. I think you've got to keep looking to get a boundary and per over. But it's Balbirnie on strike, and Curran's very full. That's a lovely shot by Balbirnie, who threaded the eye of a needle between the man at short extra and the man at mid-off, and that is the boundary they want from the over.
Jay Grover concurs with me, which he's been doing a disturbing amount of times recently, I have to say. He still has the county fixture list on his wall. It's not sentiment, he can't be asked to scrape it off, but it's grand to hear the county game back.
I couldn't agree more. As Curran's in again, and Balbirnie gets a shorter one, and he cuts this one hard behind point. But that's, I think, can't quite see under the cap there. Was it Tom Banton coming in possibly from the sweeper position, and they're through for a single. So that's Balbirnie 4 single off the first 2 balls of the over. So you've got a feeling now that Paul Stirling's got a bit of a license to thrill here. He can have a couple of goes for the boundary if he wants to, or he can do as he's done there, just dab it from the leg stump line to the man running in from the deep square boundary, and they take a single.
During the lockdown, when there was no sport going on anywhere, the BBC were replaying entire test matches and entire games, and I was listening to them. There was even the game that we on Guerrilla Cricket know as the Gary Naylor game, actually, was replayed in full.
This ball is pushed into the offside for a single.
And I wasn't particularly interested. I mean, I would dip in and out when they were on. There's nothing quite so uninteresting as games where you know what's happened, listening to them again. But the only bit that did catch me slightly was when they started reading out the county scores. And that's when I felt a real feeling of loss as to what was not happening, rather than the international cricket, I have to say.
Yes, I think that's pretty much the way I felt too, as this ball is slammed by Paul Stirling, cut from just back of a length, and it's a decent stop there by, I'm sure that is Tom Banton in a John T. Rhodes position at backward point, and that saved 4 runs. Ireland 80 for 1. Fred, I'm going to ask you a question about a particular match at the end of this over, a match that Ireland played against Middlesex, as Curran finishes this over with a ball on the leg stump, which is just pushed by Balbirnie to the man at mid-on. Ireland 80 for 1 off 14. Yes, I was looking up from the old Gillette Cup days when Ireland and minor counties would come in the first round, and they played a match against Middlesex Ireland, and there's a Ginger O'Brien, as he is called by ESPN, who was in the Irish lineup, father of Niall and Kevin, playing in this match. But the Middlesex attack was quite handy for the Irish part-timers to
being
play
somebody
against.
like Wayne Daniel.
Wayne Daniel opened the bowling with Vincent van der
der
Bijl, who conceded
Mike Selvey.
10 runs off his 12
I think
overs.
I might have been at that game, actually. Did Gatting pick up a few wickets?
Gatting bowled 10 of his 12 overs, yes, and took a couple of wickets. As Moeen's in, and this is just eased into the leg side by Paul Stirling, who moves to 49.
They got bowled out for about 100.
Selvey was second change because Embury came on and bowled a very tidy spell as first change. But it's a bit much, isn't it, coming up against Wayne Daniel and Vincent van der Bijl as a part-timer, as this is pushed to long on, and they walk an easy single. Vincent van der Bijl, not a name that will be familiar to all listeners, but he was a South African who never played because of isolation. But he was a tall and outstanding technician with the ball, as this is pushed into the leg side by Paul Stirling, and that will be his 50. Well played, Paul Stirling, 50 off 62 balls. He needed some runs in this series, and he's got them. It's a very half-hearted celebration on his part because he knows the job isn't really done.
50 runs in 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs in 50.
Dot ball from Moeen, who fields off his own bowling, and as Tony Cozier used to say, correction! It was 50 off 52 balls from Paul Stirling, so he's going pretty close to a runner ball. Moeen, quick in his work, is swept by Balbirnie from outside off stump, and that goes all the way to the fence. That's a pretty good shot. He must have got plenty on that at mid-wicket for one of these.
2 + 2 is our man. 2 + 2 is our man.
Yeah, Vincent van der Bijl, what's remarkable is he only played 1 season and a couple of games for Middlesex, and he's remembered by everybody of that era.
As this ball is just pushed up to mid-on, and they take an agreed single.
and that season being 1980, when he was unbelievably successful. My brother's just texted me to ask whether the young Middlesex seamer Tim Murtagh grabbed a few in that game as well.
He's played every game since, I think, for either Surrey or Middlesex. But,
yeah, I think he was still at Surrey in those days.
Yeah. Van der Bijl, his record in Currie Cup cricket was as good as his record in county cricket, and he was pretty much a kind of Glenn McGrath type figure, even taller than McGrath.
Yeah, he was 6'8".
Yeah, and
with a giant bald head.
Very definition of the gentle giant. He speaks very, very well about the game. I think he's a school teacher. I'm not absolutely certain, but if you ever get the chance to read or hear Vincent van der Bijl talk, then do take it, as we have a change in the bowling.
Rashid on the 45, Adil Rashid on the 45, Adil Rashid on the 45, Adil Rashid on the 45. Adil can turn it both ways, Adil can turn it, Adil can turn it both ways, Adil can turn it, Adil can turn it both ways, Adil can turn it on the 45.
Well, he turned that one from leg to off, so that was the orthodox leg break. It was picked by Balbirnie, who was able just to ease it to the man sweeping on the cover boundary and take the single. So, Rashid to Stirling. Paul Stirling, will he stick or twist here? Because one feels that if Ireland are going to win this, that either Paul Stirling or Kevin O'Brien are going to have to get after Adil Rashid. If they let Rashid bowl his 10 overs for, say, 55 runs here, it's going to be very hard to get the balance off the rest of the bowling attack, given that there's 35 overs left, bar that one ball. So I think they need to go after Rashid a little. No easy matter. And he does immediately, does Paul Stirling, attempting to sweep them outside the off stump. There's an appeal, but we can see all three stumps, so we can be pretty assured that that hit him outside the line.
It's the accelerator coming.
Yes, the channeling the spirit of Arthur Two Sheds Jackson, we have Moeen Two Hats Ali there, wearing Adil Rashid's cap. This is outside leg stump, and Paul Stirling tried to hit that a little too hard, I think. It was there for the paddle sweep. He tried the harder sweep, got a little bit of a bottom edge, but it ran away to long leg, where it was fielded not very tidily, and they threw for a leg by, actually missed the ball altogether.
Yeah, he did play a shot. He just flicked off the pad.
Yeah. Balbirnie on 24, quietly going well here, and that's a pretty good, again, read of that, because he saw it was a leg break, but he couldn't get it past the man at backward point, and that's no run. So here's Adil Rashid is in again, and this is punched into the leg side. It was very full, and it's fielded by the man coming in from the mid-wicket boundary, and they're through for a single. So he hasn't quite unveiled his box of tricks yet, Adil Rashid. He tends to hold back on bowling his googly and his top spinner until he feels a bit of rhythm. But he's in again now, and this is slogged by Paul Stirling, but he missed it completely, and well taken by Johnny Bairstow behind the stumps.
That's the point about what Nestle was saying a little bit earlier. Yes, they were ticking along quite nicely, and the run rate looked not bad, but I'll complete the point after this last ball of the over.
Yeah,
which is taking its time. But,
so Adil Rashid to finish this over, which he'll be happy with because he landed all of them. But he's landed that one exactly where Paul Stirling wanted it, and that was the shot he tried to play from the previous ball, because that was the slog sweep over Cow Corner. And Adil Rashid's got the double teapot on, but that's how Paul Stirling's going to play you.
Having been struck by the bats, the ball pitches beyond the boundary. It's a six.
Yeah, the point was, as Nestle was saying, they were ticking along quite nicely. The run rate doesn't look too bad, but what must have been in the back of their minds is that they've played Rashid very badly. A lot of teams play Rashid quite badly in this form of the game, and they've really struggled to pick him. And bearing that in mind, they probably needed to have made more of the power play and before he came on to bowl.
Well, it's the spin twins in operation together here, and Balbirnie again, he's played very smart cricket, I think, in this innings. Just takes Moeen a single to mid-on. He goes to 26 off 22 without appearing to take any risks whatsoever, and hands the strike over to Paul Stirling, who's on 56 from 55.
England trying to tempt them though here by both spinners on.
Yeah, but there's some smart cricket being played by Ireland, and they've needed that after two absolute hammerings, really. So Paul Stirling goes down and sweeps the ball from outside off stump all the way to the man on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and they walk an easy single. 100 is up, 100 for one in the 16th over, going at pretty much a run of ball, which they'll be happy with. They'll have to come with some acceleration a little later, but there's time for that. There's probably one there, but Balbirnie doesn't take it to the man at mid-wicket, who's not quite as short as he often is in that position. And so Moeen gets a dot, as this ball is more on kind of middle stump, and there's a half-hearted appeal. I'm pretty sure there was an inside edge on that. And Moeen, phlegmatic with bat or ball, just sort of strokes his nose and then goes back to his mark.
He's not an over-appealer, is he?
No, he isn't. As this ball is defended by Paul Stirling, by Andy Balbirnie, back to the bowler. It's been a decent over, this, having been clobbered for 6 off the last ball the previous over. It's a good comeback from England, but Balbirnie gets one slightly wide of off stump, and that's what he's done so well. He was back into position, didn't try and hit the ball too hard, hit it with just enough pace and good direction, backward of point for one of these. So 17 overs gone. Drinks are onto the field, 104 for one. I've been very impressed with the Irish partnership here. They are getting that that boundary in each over, and they're getting enough agreed singles alongside. So they'll need to keep going for at least another 10 overs like this, the Irish. But if they do, then in the second half of the innings, they're in with every chance. Your tweets, perhaps?
Saying something that the few tweets we have mostly about County Championship. Neil Franklin says the bottom 5 in Division 2 of the County Championship all won. I don't know how he's counting the bottom 5, presumably from last year. Jay Grover said that I'll translate this into English. He says his father is not a demonstrative man, but he told me it feels like summer hasn't started and looked sad. I'm presuming that was during the lockdown when there was no cricket. He says, thankfully I didn't have to hug him, but I gave him a nod from 6 feet away on his garage roof. He also said his father is a Sussex fan, so no stranger to outstanding fast bowlers in the 1980s, but he spoke about Van der Bijl in tones of awe, and I've got his figures up for that season.
I think he was Wisden Cricketer of the Year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he took 85 wickets at 14.7, and he was the 3rd best bowling average for that season, behind Joel Garner and Richard Hadley. It was a decent era for bowling in England.
There weren't many cheap runs around.
None of them were English, but they were all playing in England, and it was...
at the height of their powers. And I think Vincent van der Bijl was equally as effective in one-day cricket back then in the Benson and Hedges as it was in the Gillette Cup.
Well, Middlesex won the championship and the Gillette Cup that year, which was not all that common back then.
No.
And they did lose a number of players to Test duty, as good teams have always done. So not quite as many as 1985 when they won the title and they had 5 players playing, I think, in every England game. So,
yeah,
it was still a decent time.
It was, and at Sussex, perhaps a little later than 1980, they had Garth LaRue and Imran Khan opening the bowling, and coming in at sort of 7 and 8 as well. Pretty frightening sight either with ball or bat in hand, those two, and indeed probably pretty frightening in the nightclubs around Brighton as well at that time. Imran in his Playboy phase, and Big Garth, I'm sure, wasn't short of attention himself. So Ireland needs 225 more to win from 33 overs. That's just under 7 and over. It's probably about 6.6, just off the top of my head. So it's definitely in the under control and gettable phase, but it's not in the we can afford to lose 2 wickets, so let's hit out portion of the game. But these two have batted, as I said, particularly well. England still have 9 of the ace card, Adil Rashid, to play. And of course, they've got a bit of pace from Saqib Mahmood, and they've got a bit of variation from Tom Curran, who is the bowler that Jay Dernbach promised to be for a while, but never quite got control of those licorice all sorts enough to have to be as much of a threat as he otherwise would be. But England were 10 runs ahead at this stage of the innings, and were going well with Banton and Morgan. It was a strange England innings, a bit stop-start, but this England team do have enough batsmen in the lineup to never be stopped for very long, as Paul Stirling eases this into the offside, where the man runs round on the cover boundary, and that's again probably a 2 to most of the partnerships in this match. But with Paul Stirling, I'm afraid you do miss out on the occasional 2, and Andy Balbirnie was looking for that but couldn't get it. Paul Stirling goes to 58. Balbirnie, a very impressive 30 off 26. He's going better than a run of ball. It doesn't seem to have played a shot in anger. But he's got Rashid to face now, as England's leg spinner comes in, and it's very full. He goes back, does Balbirnie, hands on head from Jason Roy at slip. But it was the top spinner. I suspect Balbirnie picked it because he was waiting for it and just jabbed it into the leg side, and there was a single taken.
He came down late on it, but he was in control of the shot.
Yeah. Rashid's in again. This is defended by Paul Stirling from a leg stump line. A little bit of drift there from Adil Rashid. Batsmen do find Adil Rashid difficult to pick, but when you see the TV replays, it's very clear that the leg break comes out of the side of the hand, and with the googly you see the back of the hand. But of course it's happening so quickly, as this is slogged by Paul Stirling. It was a half volley. He said, "I'll have some of that," and it went to cow corner and bounced back.
Yeah, right in the slot. He doesn't hold back. He goes through with his shots. So when he does hit them and middle them, they do go a long way.
Yes, Nestle Boy will remind me of the golfer who's hitting it miles at the moment, as Adil Rashid is in, and this is just touched into the leg side. And I know there's no reason why the 6 followed by the single should be any better a strategy than any other, but I do like to see it. You hit the 6, you get a risk-free single off the next shot, rotate the strike, fiddle about with your gloves and let the other fella have a go. Stirling's now 65, and Balbirnie has taken on the pad there. There's a bit of a half-hearted appeal because that probably pitched outside leg and was certainly missing leg, and there's not even a thought of a referral, is there? No, I don't think so. It's the end of the 18th over. Ireland have 113 for 1. Balbirnie has 31. Paul Stirling, 65. Who's the golfer who's hitting it miles at the moment?
Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes, DeChambeau.
I think Ireland are doing great guns here, myself. I don't think there's a lot more they can do.
Yeah, and these are probably the best 2 Irish batsmen to pick and play Rashid. I'm wondering whether they might not take him out of the attack and save him for other people who might be easier bamboozled. Roger McCann has got in touch, our great friend Roger McCann. He says that 1980 Middlesex Ireland match featured 4 for 22 from friend of Guerrilla Cricket, Michael Halliday. He also notes that Gartharu had figures of 7 overs, 4 maidens, 5 for 7 against Ireland in the 1985 NatWest Oval.
That sounds like Big Garth. Down on one knee goes Paul Stirling. He took a while getting up, but he had enough time to help himself to a little over-the-shoulder dab for one of these.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a lot of professional cricketers at that time would be taking guard sort of at square leg when Gartharu was at the back of his mark. So perhaps the part-timers of Ireland were doing something similar.
Yes, I think so. He was a big, strong boy, Harry. As it comes down the track, does Paul Stirling, and he almost got himself out of shape there, but he worked his way across to a ball that was outside off stump. I think Moeen saw him coming a little bit, and he dragged it to long on where David Willey ran round to do the fielding, and he got himself 2. I think Paul Sterling's just got to be careful here. You know, he's got the 4 off the first ball of the over. Doesn't need to go mad. Just got to play it careful here. He's on 71. He goes back, and this is a much better shot because he punches that to the right hand of the man at backward point, and it's a long chase, and they'll be through for 2 more. So this is 8 from 3 balls in this over from Moeen. So it's very much Ireland working the ball well here, as one Irishman in the crowd who won't be very happy the camera picks out, and that's Owen Morgan, of course. Ireland 121 for 1. As Moeen's in again, it's a slower ball, and it's just defended. Smart work from Paul Sterling. The job in this over is done. So just take a nice easy dot ball.
If Morgan was on the field, it wouldn't quite be happening in the same way.
He does seem to be losing control a little bit here, Moeen, and that's a little bit short, and it's hit hard down into the ground and cut by Paul Sterling, who was absolutely motoring.
That went like a tracer bullet.
Paul Sterling!
It was short, it was wide outside off stump, and in fact it was a bit of a hit-me ball, and I think if Owen Morgan was on the field, he'd be taking Moeen off for the next over, because although it makes sense to have the spin twins working together, Moeen just isn't finding a line and length at the moment, and he's absolutely being milked and hit for 4s and 6s at the same time, if that makes sense, by Paul Sterling, who helps himself to a single off the last ball of a productive over for the Irish. 126 for 1. Now, Paul Sterling has 78, Andy Balbirnie 31. I wanted to ask you, Nestle Boy, have you got divided loyalties in this match, or do you stick with your place of birth rather than with your heritage?
Oh no, I mean, any time. I'm not a great flag waver of any kind, but
No.
any time that Ireland play a sporting event, I want them to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, any time. Football, rugby, golf, cricket. You know, I'm not a rabid patriot or anything. It's
I'm similar. I have to say, every time Ireland play a game, I want the opposition to win.
Oh, well, there you go.
Doesn't matter who they are, really, or what sport.
But yeah, I'm not. I don't really care. You know, particularly England nationally. I like to see them win the World Cup in football once, just to see how insane the country would go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much like that myself. As Rashid, the quicker ball there, top spinner, and that was just jabbed to backward point by Paul Sterling.
Dave Saras has tweeted in a picture of Joe Root and asking whether he looks like a villain in a Rocky flick. He looks more like, is it the Mekong? Something with a giant head.
It is the Mekong.
A very strange picture.
Almost yorked himself there, did Paul Sterling, as Rashid bowled very full there. We'll have a change at the end of this over.
Ireland are ahead of the required run rate, by the way.
Yes, they are. These two are going particularly well. But 2 dots will encourage Adil Rashid. And you can now add a 3rd dot to that, as Paul Sterling came down and just played a defensive delivery back to Rashid. Perhaps they're thinking that England will have to make a change at the end of this over and take Moeen off, and therefore they might have an attack of the new bowler. But Rashid's in again, and he goes back to Paul Sterling. For once, his limited footwork worked against him, because he went back really to a ball he should have come forward to, and the ball just skewed off the outside edge to backward point. So a rare block of 4 dot balls here, as Rashid's in again, and he goes down on one knee and attempts to sweep a ball from well outside off stump. I think again I'm going to give Rashid some credit there, because I think we saw him going down and toss the ball a little wider, and there is no run. So will this be a maiden? And it is a maiden, because it's just defended by Paul Sterling, and Adil Rashid rushes through that. He has figures of none for 19 now from 3. Ireland are 126 for 1, and I'll hand you over for ball by balling to Knuckle.
Game on, folks. Ireland 126 for 1 after 20. Need a further 203 runs and 30 overs. They are now, with that very tight over from Adil Rashid, that maiden just slipped below the required run rate. They are going at 6.3 and over. The required run rate is 6.76 and over. Nothing unmanageable at all with 9 wickets in hand. Still Harry Tector, Kevin O'Brien, Lorcan Tucker, Curtis Camphor, and Mark Adair, and Andy McBride, all of whom can bat. Certainly, Mark Adair is a really, really good player. Very much someone after Gary's heart as a proper batting number 8. We could have a very interesting game on our hands, and Moeen Ali's doing as Owen Morgan did in the second One Day International and calling to on the Hampshire surprise. Been less than majestic with the bat in this series, and certainly his bowling cannot be described as such, but he's in and doubles this one nicely onto off stump. And Balbirnie, who was dismissed by an almost bouncer from Vince in the second One Day International, James Vince's first international wicket, only the 6th of his professional career. The Irish captain plays this up to cover There Is No Run. I imagine that James Vince will be reminding Andy Balbirnie of that after every single delivery. He's in to the Irish captains on 31 of 29, and Balbirnie tries to pull this. It got stuck in the wicket a little bit, and the top edge loops up and over Johnny Bairstow. A very lucky boundary for Andy Balbirnie, but a boundary nonetheless.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
I mean, I guess you may as well do something, and you may as well do it early, but this is a very different pitch to the one that James Vince took that wicket on Saturday. I'll bring in Gary and Annie after this delivery from Vince, who beats Balbirnie on the outside edge. A decent bit of Darren Stevens-esque dob through to the keeper. There is no run.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good wicket, this. It's got a bit of pace, bit of carry. Obviously, it allows the batsmen to play their shots. We've seen different batsmen come in and play plenty of shots. What I'm surprised about is that Johnny Bairstow isn't standing up to the wickets here when Ireland are on the attack. You think he should be right up there?
Yes, Johnny Bairstow
would be, wouldn't he?
He doesn't look especially confident in his wicket keeping at the moment, Johnny Bairstow. Back of the length and punched by Balbirnie from the top of off stump to backward point. There is no run. I think the timing seems off with Bairstow's keeping. He's not. He's never been the best of keepers, but he's never been an awful keeper. But
Are you saying he's awful at the moment then?
He's not looking great. His feet aren't moving properly. His rhythm looks off.
I mean, I think they miss him as a boundary rider. He's a fine athlete, and he'd be better
Vince
at deep
fifth
cover.
ball of the over, punched by Balbirnie.
I don't think he'd agree with you,
wicket,
Gary.
no run. Well, we know Johnny Bairstow wants to be doing everything, and I think I kind of implored his ambition that he still wants to be playing Test cricket, but at what point does Johnny Bairstow just relax into the fact that he's one of the greatest white ball players England have ever produced and a candidate for a World 11?
I concur.
Possibly never. Last ball of James Vince is burgled over down the leg side, and Balbirnie helps this on its way, and it looked like a burgled over for England, but it's gone for 8. 4 runs off the last. Ireland 134 for 1. What have we got on the tweets, Annie?
Well, I'm not 100% sure up on where you were, so I'm going to go for Josie Oak saying, I asked this the other day, but why is Nessun Dorma the jingle for Vince?
Was it mentioned Val all'alba vincero, as in that lyric vincero, which is repeated over and over again, which means I will win. I think we were a little bit behind that.
So I'm glad he asked that.
Sorry, the last tweet we read out, was from Roger McCann about Michael Halliday and Garth LaRue.
Okay, I'll see. I'll go back to. I'll just read Neymar Butlin saying, after revealing that I am an ex-public school boy, I now can't say that Stirling looks like a boiler man. Oh, pish posh.
There was an advert on there for the erectile dysfunction pills, and as part of the advert it said sequences shortened. Some might say, how is such a thing possible?
Rashid in, tossed up outside the stump, and Stirling tries to batter this through Tom Banton at mid-off, but it goes to said Tom Banton at said mid-off. There is no run.
Be a bit like the Human League's Black Hit of Space, where time stood still.
I suppose
that was the case.
Yeah, how can you shorten to a sequence that never starts? Rashid in straighter delivery, and bottom hand from Stirling works this between non-striker and stumps and down to Saqib Mahmood on coming in off the long on boundary. They come through for a single. Stirling to 79, Balbirnie on 39. I've been really impressed with these two. Balbirnie is
they haven't needed those purple tablets because they've had plenty of long handle from the start.
Balbirnie is
How do you know they're purple?
Balbirnie is a
I'm
lovely
told.
player to watch.
I'm told.
Okay.
A friend of mine writes.
Rashid in third ball of the over. Googly outside off stump. Balbirnie staying deep in his crease. This pitch isn't turning quite as much as the pitch that was played, the first and second ODIs were played on, which was indeed the same pitch, and punches this out to deep point for a single. Yeah, Andy Balbirnie is a lovely player to watch when he's going, and it's been good to see him out there for a little while. Fourth ball of the over from Adil Rashid, who may just hold the key for England to keeping Ireland in check. Floated leg break outside leg stump, a little bit of drift. Stirling plays it on the bounce to short mid wicket. There is no run. It's like a different game when Rashid's bowling and at the other end. Fifth ball of this over, which Rashid has got through very quickly. Oh, Stirling tried to punch this up and over mid-on, but it went on with the arm. I think possibly an attempted leg break that didn't turn, and skews off the inside part of the bat to the man on the 45. There is no run. So Rashid's just gone for 2 runs off his last 10 deliveries. His 11 deliveries, in fact, and Stirling's happy to just punch this down too long on and take the single. He'll be on 80. Balbirnie's on 40. Balbirnie wanted the second. It was never going to be there. Ireland 137 for 1. Rashid none for 22 off his 4. I don't think Ireland can afford to play out 6 overs of Adil Rashid.
I just want to say one other thing, because we've talked about how we've missed the county game. There's something here that I haven't seen, which is a delight for me every summer. We're getting that slanting August sun with the long shadows and that mellow light
gorgeous,
that comes in, and I often see it at grounds, but obviously I haven't done that, but I haven't even seen it on the television, and it is, as you say, Annie, just gorgeous.
It is very, very English. I mean, I go around at the moment, I'm just going to lots of grounds in August, and watching those those evening sunlight going down and down. It's just been fantastic. It is.
It is. The light of the south of France is beautiful, but it's not this time of day when it works at its best. The light in Scandinavia can be very good, but it's much later in the high summer. It comes at about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
I'll be in bed by then.
This kind of light, but only in England do you. I think, well, obviously at the same latitudes, but there's a particularly English feel to this mellow light at exactly the time that you fancy a G&T.
The long, slow to fade English summer day. Golden hour is upon the Hampshire Bowl. Probably a little bit later than golden hour, actually. That's a fine time for photographers. James Vince is going to continue bowling. None for 8 off his 1. Did pick up the wicket of Andy Balbirnie in the first one-day international, but we were just talking about this pitch isn't as tacky as the pitch that was played on. It's a fresh pitch and looks like a good pitch. I'm not sure Vince's medium dob will get much joy, but that's a good delivery. Swings into Paul Stirling, and Stirling blocks out this 76 mile an hour vaguely threatening Yorker to cover. There is no run.
Vince needs to do something with the ball, though, doesn't he?
Well, I put it this way: I don't think his bowling will save him.
No, he's bowling because England have a surfeit of wicket keepers, which we've had for a long time,
yes.
really. Because Morgan has kept wicket for Ireland, I think, in ODI cricket.
It's been a while. Short delivery from Vince and. Clipped by Paul Stirling in wristy fashion down to Liam Livingstone, who's already done some good work as a sub-fielder. Powers the ball back in from the deep square leg boundary. There is no run. Of course, Liam Livingstone not in the 11. He could bowl some passable leg breaks if he were allowed to.
Well, he can bowl all kinds of stuff, Liam Livingstone. It's one of his trump cards. But we've got Sam Billings, who's a keeper, and we've got Johnny Bairstow. So there are three.
And Tom Banton.
3 keepers.
And Banton, yeah.
As Vince is in outside off stump, and that's cut nicely by Andy Balbirnie. Got on top of the bounce, past backward point down to Saqib Mahmood on the third man boundary. They come through for a single. A little bit of consolidation for Ireland. They don't want to give their wickets away to Vince, but there is always the danger of allowing the part-timer to bowl. I think of how England got themselves completely stuck in the World Cup game against Pakistan against Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Hafiz, which are both better part-time bowlers than James Vince, but you can't allow part-timers to go at 4.5 and over.
Jason Roy bowls some passable pace-off medium stuff, so I'm surprised he hasn't been called upon, really.
He might be going
a little bit of swing. I think he's just rolling his fingers over the ball and punched by Stirling up to mid-on. Moeen Ali is marshalling his troops from there. They come through for a single.
Isn't this wonderful, seeing Stirling get some good runs?
Yeah, it's his first 50 in England. He's got a lot of one-day international 50s. 19 since the start of 2017. He is Ireland's probably best white ball player with the bat. Andy Balbirnie, newish to the captaincy, just captaining in his 6th game, took over from William Porterfield at the end of last year. And he faces up to James Vince and goes back and drops this in front of him. Vince picks up in his follow-through. There is no run.
It's a very good over this from Vince. He's varied his pace, but he's kept a tight line and he hasn't given away the 4 ball. Of course, the problem with what is a net bowler, really, James Vince, is that the 4 ball is never too far away, so let's hope he can finish the over off here from an England perspective.
Some medium dob tips from England's coach in this series, Paul Collingwood, who was a very fine proponent of that art. Clipped through the vacant square leg or mid-wicket region, really. Is a bit further in front of the square than that. They come through for a single, but England will be very happy with James Vince going for 4 off and over, and that's what he went for. 141 for 1 Ireland after 23 need. 189 more at just under 7 and over.
I watched a bit of the baseball. I have been watching a bit of the baseball since
Sorry,
it
Gary,
started. And there's New York Yankees yesterday had a guy who's hitting home runs for fun called Aaron Judge. And he has a bit of the build of Paul Stirling, except he's 6'7".
6'7". Yeah, that is a little bit taller than Stirling.
He hit a long ball.
I bet.
That's more of a keen Cornwall.
But he's quite thick set, obviously.
He definitely is.
Okay, I've got a couple of tweets.
We will run through them at the end of the over, because Adil Rashid doesn't give you a lot of time. That's a gorgeous
He really doesn't, does he?
That's a gorgeous shot by Andy Balbirnie. A little bit over pitch maybe, but it was drifting and dipping, and Balbirnie on bended back knee has just driven this majestically through the covers for 4.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary.
Classy shot from Andy Balbirnie.
Yeah, he went for accuracy rather than power there, but put enough on it to get it to the boundary. That was, as you say, a very classy stroke.
46 now for Andy Balbirnie, looking for his 2nd 50 as Ireland captain. This one turns a little bit sharply, and a poor bit of fielding from David Willey, I think that is, at cover. England's ground fielding has been very good in this series, as it has been throughout their white ball rise. They come through for a single out to the cover sweeper. And Stirling back onto strike on 82. The longer these two stay there, the more hope grows for Ireland. Stirling goes onto the slog sweep. I don't think he got all of it, but Stirling's powerful enough that it doesn't matter. Off the top part of the bat, it sails just a couple of yards over the squarish mid-wicket boundary for 6.
I believe in miracles. Since you came to bat, you 60 thing. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you 60 thing.
Couple of rows back, this big playing area. That's how hard Paul Stirling hits the ball. Good googly from Adil Rashid, a little bit quicker. Stirling caught on the crease and blocks it to mid-wicket. There is no run.
Playing Adil Rashid as well as anybody has for the last few years, I would suggest.
Certainly a damn sight better than Ireland have ever managed.
Really has. He's hit him a good few 6s now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a method and he's sticking to it. Good delivery from Rashid. A little bit fuller, a little bit flatter. Skews off the outside part of the bat from Stirling as he tries to drive to mid-on. Willie fields at cover. There is no run. This partnership now worth over 100, over a run a ball. And yeah, Adil Rashid's really had the wood on Ireland in his career so far, but he's got a challenge ahead of him now with these two. That turns a long way, a shortish leg break from Rashid at good pace too, making sure that Stirling can't take him over the leg side. Stirling isn't sure what to do with it and blocks back to the bowler. There is no run, but a good over for Ireland. Was that 11 runs off it, and after 24 overs, Ireland are 152 for 1.
I've got a tweet from Neil Franklin who said, Root seems to have aged overnight, gone from street urchin to little old man in a matter of months. Somebody must have found the picture in the attic.
England captaincy can do that.
I did. I was just saying that he looked pretty rough, actually. It's being a father of two, maybe.
On my Guardian report card that I did for the series, I mentioned that he's going to lose 5 years when he gives up the England captaincy because he has aged so quickly the last couple of years.
And he rattled through those tweets. I know we're a little bit behind.
I will be in the sea and the communist. Says, love to see Ireland give the world champions a probe like this. Absolutely. And Josie Oakes says, I asked this the other day. Oh no, I've done that one. Alright, we're back.
Might be a few more coming in since, or I think there are just by having a look at the feed now. Vince is continuing to bowl his third over. Balbirnie doesn't time this at all. Good footwork from James Vince as he side foots this towards the stumps to try and catch Paul Stirling napping. Paul Stirling was not caught napping. They come through for a good cheeky single. Stirling onto 88, Balbirnie onto 48 with that cheeky single, 153 for 1. You're listening to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of the third one-day international between England and Ireland. England lead the series 2-0, but of course the World Cup Super League means that every game counts towards World Cup qualification. Ireland can get a few points on the board. And you know what, with the top 7 plus India qualifying automatically, it is not impossible that Ireland could sneak into 8th come the end of this 2-year cycle. So they will be champing at the bit to
come on, Ireland,
to get some points on the board. Shortish outside off stump. Sterling tried to cut this fine, but Vince's lack of pace means that it goes straight to the man at short third man. There is no run.
He's just been a little tied down here, Sterling. He's not quite hitting the 6 as he was 10 minutes or so ago, and that was a little close to cut there. He's just tried to manufacture that shot rather than play it.
Genuine off
cutter. I think he's struggling with Vince a little
genuine
bit.
Off cutter, almost an off spinner from James Vince. It did come back into Sterling. That's a short ball which Sterling takes full advantage of. That was in the arc, and Sterling flat backs it hard. Couple of bounces into the sponge at long on for 4. Into the 90s now, Paul Stirling.
See, I think 10 minutes ago that would have sailed 15 rows back, but in the end he only just got it over the head of the man in the circle there.
92 off 8.
So he's just struggling with a little bit for timing here.
Yep.
He deserves his century. Let's hope he gets it.
92 off 86 balls for Paul Stirling. Vince in, 4th ball of his third over. That's a lovely shot by Paul Stirling. He won't only get a single for it because Jason Roy is out there on the deep mid-wicket boundary. But he dug out an in-swinging almost Yorker very well out into the cow corner region. Moves to 93. Balbirnie back onto strike, 2 short of his 50. Which has come in very good time. Sterling's came off 52 balls. Balbirnie is 48 off 41 balls as it make that 48 off 42 balls as he solidly defends this to cover. There is no run, 158 for 1. I think if Vince maybe gets one more over, then Ireland might target him. .158 for 1. Last ball of the 25th over, coming up on the halfway mark of this Ireland reply. This chase of 329. Slower ball from Vince, and that probably will be 50 for Andy Balbirnie. He's driven this under the dive of David Willey at cover. And Sam Billings fields on the cover boundary, but Balbirnie does come through for 50. Well played, the Irish captain. 50 off 43 balls, 7 fours in it. It's been a lovely, fluent innings. 25 overs gone, Ireland 160 for 1. A jingle for the Irish captain's 50, and then more tweets.
50 runs, your 50 runs. Well done, well done, well done, well done. 50 runs, your 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
This is great partnership.
Certainly is. Stirling and Balbirnie have done fine work. Ireland 160 for 1. Get us through some tweets.
Okay, Barry James says he thinks Root looks very bad because he's attempting to look like Tom Hiddleston. Well, Tom Hiddleston's very attractive. Jay Grover saying Bairstow's keeping us suffering because his family are suspended over pools of slurry whilst blood slowly drips from a series of cuts. Leeches bred in the farms of the estates of the Archons. You bow to circle below. Also, Twitter's gone a wee bit fucky. Has it?
Not that we've noticed. Change of bowling, Adil Rashid out of the attack.
In the sea and the communists, this is a little reminder. The guerrilla cricket are more engaging, just as insightful, and with Knuckles' beard, Gary's gaze, and Annie Chaves, mind and body in the house, better look in the sky too. There you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First ball from a new bowler, and it's one that's full and fast and swinging into Stirling. He doesn't time this attempted drive off inside edge onto foot out into the offside off the bowling of this man, replacing Adil Rashid. Well in this series, his first full series as an England one-day international cricketer, taken 4 wickets in it, 2 in each game thus far. None for 24 he is off his 4.2 overs now as Stirling blocks this into the onside. There is no run.
Stirling's looking a little bit annoyed, isn't he, about
looking
something?
a little bit tired, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're right. But a lovely innings from Andy Balbirnie, because he's done something which you rarely see, which is he's played second fiddle, but he's scoring faster than the senior partner.
7 fours in those 43 balls for that 50 for Andy Balbirnie. Stirling tries to swat Paul Stirling, Shakib Mahmood over the leg side like he's a club bowler. Through him, though, on this occasion, just narrowly misses off stump. There is no run.
When he was a club bowler, he played at Formby, a ground that I've played on a number of times.
Did you play him?
I didn't play against him. No. It's 40 years too late.
40?
But I used to play for Hightown. I played for Hightown in sort of 1979, 1980, that kind of time. And he played at Formby, which is the next club up the Lancashire coast there.
In comes Shakib Mahmood. That's a horrible full toss, which Stirling does swat away. It's over the mid-wicket region. Deep square leg might get round, and that's another brilliant bit of outfielding. Sam Billings, who's so quick across the ground, I think managed to lay paw on ball and flick it back before body intersected with sponge. We'll go and have a look at this. It was not a particularly good delivery from Shakib Mahmood. The thigh-high full toss.
Nearly a no ball.
Yeah, just dipping enough. Stirling got plenty of bat on it. We'll see how well Billings did. He had a good 40 yards to make up, and I think he's done superbly well, Sam Billings. Got left hand to ball. Away it went. Yes, just 2 runs to Stirling. Nearly a very good catch by James Vince. Stirling dropped on 95. He tries to pull this. He pulled it hard. Vince threw himself to his right at mid-wicket, spilled it as he hit the ground. Stirling could have been gone, should have been gone, instead gets a single, moves to 96.
Yeah. Paul Stirling has the mien of a middleweight boxer who's in the 9th round and has absolutely nothing left to give.
He does look exhausted, doesn't he?
He's standing there and taking punishment at the moment.
I'll just do it. Oh no, I won't.
Last ball of the over, then we'll go. Balbirnie onto 50 off 43, who looks altogether calmer, and he drives this pleasantly on the bounce up to mid-off. They come through for a single. An eventful first over back for Shakib Mahmood, Ireland 164 for 1 off 26.
Grits and Grat says, loving the Gary Naylor romantic sunset musings. Could he be the new Wordsworth? He's better than Roger McGough. Whatever nature beats science and technology every day of the week. He is actually, yeah, you are a little bit Wordsworthian. I think.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
No, that's fine. Jay Grover says, Gary and Adil, no one shall have the chance to speak again, ever. And Grits and Grats again says, he looks more like Renard from Bonds. The world is not enough. Does anyone know what that means?
Trying to remember.
It's a Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. I haven't seen that Bond film, although because I've seen other Bond films, I suspect I have seen that Bond film, if you know what I mean.
Pierce Brosnan, I think. Joe Root with his very sunken cheeks now. He has the look of not a villain, but a henchman.
Jay Grover says, I love Knuckles' plaintive Gary when he tries to get tweets read out. Gary don't care. Gary know there is one voice that matters. Gary knows whose voice that is.
I was being very reticent in the last 3 or 4 overs.
I think
not before.
Anna Forsyth said, mercifully out of corporate responsibility committee in time for Balbirnie's 50.
Vince is replaced by someone who bowls, who has bowler in their job description, but said bowler starts with one down the leg side on the hip, and Balbirnie clips it round the corner to move to 52 off the resumed bowling of this man.
He's not South African, but let Tom Curran. They have to bowl with tight control, or else they'll score some more of the let Tom Curran.
Stirling within one hit of 100, facing up to Tom Curran, short and pulled by Stirling. This won't be it, shouldn't be it at least. Good bit of work by Arthur Rashid coming around from long leg, saves 2 runs. Stirling moves to 98.
He deserves this 100 though, he really does. He's been great. Real entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact, Gary, that we've both been talking about the fact he seems to be losing timing, he's actually sped up in this second 50.
Yeah, I think it's been more the last sort of 20 balls. I think his batteries definitely were sort of going low.
I think he heard you, Gary.
I think maybe he
Stirling on 98, poor delivery from Tom Curran down the leg side. Bairstow skips across to take wide.
He really should have a headband on as well, because he's struggling with sweat going into his eyes. He's constantly fiddling about with the helmet. He could do an awful lot worse than find a broken shoelace now and just sit down for a few moments and ask for a headband and various other things.
He looks sweaty all over, Gary.
He just needs to make sure that he's extending the hands through the ball. Good Yorker from Tom Curran. Slightly ridiculous appeal, as I'm pretty sure that came off the full face of the bat to backward point. That there is no run. Tom Curran was the only one going up for that appeal.
Moen's definitely shaking his head at that, isn't he?
Yes.
Tom Curran's about 25 now, and I think you have until you're 25 to have the silly haircuts, and then you've got to settle into a hairstyle. And I'm pleased to say that Tom Curran haven't had some particularly bad haircuts.
Did you have silly haircuts?
Oh, I did. Of course, I did.
Did you?
Back of the length, and
what were they
Stirling
like?
works this into the leg side. It'll just be a single. Moves to 99. Paul Stirling. Balbirnie on strike for the last 2 balls of the over.
At 21 or so, I had a full Damon Grant mullet. If you can remember Damon Grant from Brookside.
I can, but didn't everybody have a mullet then?
I'm afraid it was de rigueur, yeah. But I also had later the ponytail. It was allowed in those days. 1984, come on.
Tom Curran pulls out of this delivery to allow Gary time to give us his pursuit history.
I'll also plead guilty to personality braces, which I got from Hackett with...
That's not hair, though.
No, I know, but it tends to go with the ponytail.
Ponytail.
Yeah, the floral braces and the white shirt.
In comes Curran, 5th ball of the over to Balbirnie, who drives this on the up. There is a gap in the cover point region, and so they take the single out to Sam Billings, bringing Stirling back onto strike, onto 99.
It was in my days where I would shop at Works for Freedom and Ali Capolino and some other British designers when I was working in fashion myself. It'll come as no surprise that I didn't look like this then. So I'm afraid
I'd like to see a picture of you in the 90s, Gary.
Paul Stirling.
You might just see one on the WhatsApp group soon.
Paul Stirling has once been dismissed for 99 against Afghanistan in Noida on the outskirts of Delhi in March 2017. But not on this occasion. Full toss on leg. Stirling clips to mid-wicket. Comes through for a single. 100 off 96 balls for Paul Stirling. 5 4s and 5 6s. The 9th of his one-day international career. His first against England. Well played, Paul Stirling.
Paul Stirling.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Congratulations, sir. You are a centurion.
That ends the over, 171 for 1 off 27. Fabulous 100 by Belfast's finest. Racing up to Saqib Mahmood, first ball of the next over. He's got to resettle Paul Stirling, 100 off 96 balls, and he thrashes this hard through the offside. Little bit of whip. Paul Stirling loves it there, and it's as though that 100 has taken all the pressure off in 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Maximising any whip given to him, Gary. You cannot bowl at Paul Stirling short and wide outside off stump.
Even in this state, you can't do that.
That was the most fluent shot he's played for quite some time. 4 off the first ball of the over. Always important for a chasing side. As Mahmood is in. Good delivery, tighter to off stump. Stirling just runs this past backward point. Livingston can do nothing about it. They come through for a single. Paul Stirling is definitely calling for a change of gloves or a drink or something.
Or lie down.
Balbirnie might be well advised to take some of the strike for a little while.
He definitely needs a new towel round his head or something, doesn't he?
I'm surprised, actually, Gary, that he doesn't go with the headband or the little bit of towel or the bandana or something.
Brilliant.
There's 105, Paul Stirling, and power to add.
And Balbirnie on 53, and also power to add. He's batted beautifully. Short ball from Saqib Mahmood down the leg side. Surely that's going to be signalled a wide. Yes, no, apparently. Over the top of leg stump, there is no run, surprises me.
I don't want to jinx him, but I don't know whether one of the tweeters can tell us what the record score is for an Irish batsman. I'm sure somebody's made 180 or something, a Kevin O'Brien or something, or a William Porterfield against Kenya or something like that. But,
it might well be Stirling.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Fourth ball of Saqib Mahmood, 6th over, the 28th of the innings. Short ball. And Balbirnie forces this off the back foot, beats the man at mid-wicket. They'll come back for 2. They'll come back for 2 pretty comfortably in the end. Balbirnie moves to 55 off 48. Ireland 180 for 1. 178 for 1, I beg your pardon. So Mahmood walked back to the end of his mark. And Ireland are very, very much in this game.
They're still only 40% according to Winviz.
151 runs to win off 22.2 overs. Make that 150 now off 22.1 overs with 9 wickets in hand. Ireland will be very disappointed if they don't win from this position. Balbirnie pushes a single into the offside, moves to 56. 1 ball left of the over. Gary, I mean, aside with aspirations of qualifying for a World Cup, I mean, I know this World Cup has too few teams, but really should be winning a game from this position. Gary?
Yeah, I think that if we weren't burdened by expectations of Ireland and England in their cricketing heritages.
Last ball of the over is tight to off stump and back of a length from Paul Stirling. He tries to run this into the offside, cannot pick up the single. He's on 105 off 99. Andy Balbirnie 56 off 49. After 28 overs, Ireland 180 for 1. Need 150 more at 6.76 and over. This is very, very much in range.
Yeah, we'd be saying that Ireland have just got to keep their heads here, not do anything silly, and the runs should come, and they should be, I would suggest, something like 4 out of 5 times they'll win this. But because
they're scoring off Rashid, for example, so we're not they're not actually going slow in the middle overs either.
No, I mean they were slowing down a little bit as Stirling was going to his 100, but they've just loosened the shackles a little bit. It's going to be very interesting to see when Moeen Ali brings Rashid back. I think that if a wicket falls in the next little while, Rashid will be on immediately after that wicket falls.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's going to be hard for a new batsman who's been sitting with the pads on now for well over an hour to come in and play fluently, and that may just bring a little bit of anxiety into the game. And you've got to think that somebody's got to make a 50 beyond these two to get Ireland over the line.
A little bit of movement away from the right-handed Andy Balbirnie. He drives this pleasantly into the offside, and there is no run. Slower ball from
But I'm assuming they've still got Kevin O'Brien to come.
I mean, you've got Harry Tector at number 4, batted quite nicely the other day. Kevin O'Brien, we know what he's going to do, obviously slowing down towards the end of his career. Lorcan Tucker, the wicket-keeper. Then you've got Curtis Camphor and Mark Adair, all-rounders. Mark Adair is a seriously good cricketer, as is Curtis Camphor on current evidence, and Andy McBride's done well with the bat in both innings. So they plenty down the order, but these two obviously will need to build this partnership some way further yet. Sterling works this back of a link delivery off his hips down to Liam Livingston at long leg. They come through for a single.
But relatively pressure-free cameos of 20 or 30 are very different to getting 20 or 30 at a run a ball when there's a match in the balance, albeit not a series in the balance. And somebody's going to have to bat very well beyond these two. Whereas if these two get them over the line, they've played two of the, it's one of the all-time great one-day international partnerships. Fair enough, but somebody is likely to come in and have to play well.
Tight to off-stump Tom Curran. A little bit of movement off the seam into Balbirnie as he tries to force this through the offside. And there is no run as it finds cover.
But like Knuckle says, they have got potential down the line. I mean, they definitely have some batsmen to come.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you would hope so at only one down.
Yes.
Tector and Tucker are relatively new to international cricket, but both have talent. Tucker's a good player off the spinners, sweeps the ball well. Harry Tector's making his way in the game, but has some promise. Again, good tight lines from Tom Curran. He's not taken a wicket in this second spell, but he's looked very good. He's bowled well to his and Moeen Ali's plan, and Balbirnie can again only find cover. There is no run.
Yeah, what's always been the case, I think, with Tom Curran since his very early days at Surrey is that he's a very disciplined bowler. He knows what works for him and he sticks to it. He seldom goes for the glory ball, wanting to pitch one on leg and hit the top of off stump. He just sticks at it and knows that the success will come.
Fullish on outside off stump. Balbirnie's happier with it on or outside off stump, and he drives this with the bottom hand, opening the face out to the cover sweeper. They come through for a single. Balbirnie on to 58. Sterling on 106 off exactly 100 balls. Ireland 182 for one ball left of this over, and he's got a good surprise Yorker, Tom Curran, when he slips it in.
He gives the air of a man who listened quite hard to his father, Kevin Curran, who was an outstanding Zimbabwean cricketer, who, like Tom Curran, was a handy bowler and batsman without being absolutely international class at either discipline, but he was pretty good as a cricketer.
Last ball of Curran's fifth over, the 29th of the innings. A full toss, which surprises Sterling, and he can only bunt this up to, I think that's James Vince at mid-off. There is no run. Good tight over from Tom Curran, just the 3 runs off it. Ireland 182 for one after 29 overs, need 147 off the remaining 21. But a run rate, as we keep saying, of just under 7 and over with 9 wickets in hand is no biggie. Game on.
I've got some info from Tony Bishop, who says the highest score for Ireland in an ODI is 177 by Paul Stirling.
Yeah, figured
Oh, that's useful.
Figured it would be.
Jay Graver says asking Gary to be reticent when it comes to verbosity is like asking a tapeworm to maybe no snacks for a bit, Ayla. Josie Oak says I didn't have a mullet or a ponytail in 1984. He just had a big beard, probably.
I've tweeted you my picture of my ponytail.
Oh, have you?
In comes Sakib to Andy Balbirnie, who punches this hard into the offside, but straight to extra cover. There is no run. Good pace from Sakib Mahmood, 87 miles an hour. It's a good find. It's a find. A good product of Lancashire and England youth group cricket, Sakib Mahmood. Bolton lad, isn't he?
He's certainly Lancashire. He might be Bolton, but an awful lot of cricketers come from around Bolton. But he played Liverpool.
In fact, he was
competition.
born in.
You're laughing at my photograph now.
No, sorry, I'm laughing at the fact that a lot of cricketers come from around Bolton. I've not heard that.
Second Mahmood outside off stump, and a lovely punch by Andy Balbirnie. It'll just be a single out to the cover sweeper, though, moves to 59. Tell a lie, Rochdale, in fact, born in Birmingham, but Rochdale. I'm thinking of Hasib Hamid.
Yeah,
he's from
and
Bolton.
there was a time when England played 3 bowlers who were all born within 10 miles of Bolton. I think it was Flintoff, Sajid Mahmood, and
Anderson?
Might be Jimmy Anderson, but they certainly had a pace attack. Were all born within 10 miles, a little bit like the Lisbon Lions all being born within 10 miles of Celtic Park.
There should be a blue plaque there, shouldn't there?
3 of them.
3 of them, yeah.
In comes Mahmood. short, and Stirling tries to smash this out of the county of Hampshire, misses it completely, it passes under the bat and just misses leg stump. And good stuff from Saqib Mahmood. He's troubled Stirling for pace throughout this innings. A sort of tumbling stop from Johnny Bairstow means that there are no byes.
They often said of batsmen like Geoffrey Boycott that they had to be dragged from the crease at the end of an innings. Well, I think Paul Stirling may be literally dragged from the crease at the end of this innings.
Or get a trolley out to get him.
Johnny Bairstow's starey eyes look at Saqib Mahmood at the end of his run. He's in. Fourth ball over the over, right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Paul Stirling, who thinks about depositing this back over the bowler's head, but blocks it into the offside. There is no run. Ireland, I get the impulse to consolidate, but they can't go completely shotless. It's only been singles for the last few overs. We'll have a change at the end of this over.
Paul Stirling is coming off. Somebody else is going out.
That's very good, yes. Not Fred's going to come onto ball by ball. Jono's going to summarise.
Not that kind of change, Gary.
And Nestle
Paul
boy,
Stirling wants it.
Sorry, and Nestle boy is going to come onto tweets. That's not Fred, Jono and Nestle to see us through the important 30 to 40 over section of this innings, which could go a long way to deciding where this game is won and lost. Back of a length from Saqib Mahmood. Sterling turns this round the corner. He set off hard for the first. They want to come back for two. They will not come back for two as Tom Curran does good work coming in off the long leg boundary.
Yeah, the crucial part of play, eh, Knuckle?
Could well be. Could well be. Ireland 184 for 1 after 29.5 overs. Need another 145 to win off 20.1 overs. Adil Rashid is warming up. He's got 6 overs left after the 5 overs left in fact. Moeen's got 5, Tom Curran's got 5, David Willey's got 5. So with James Vince having bowled 3 overs, England have plenty of options out there under their sub-captain Moeen Ali. If you haven't heard, Owen Morgan's off the field with some groin tightness. That's a lovely shot by Andy Balbirnie. Stood up tall and punched it through the offside, but out to the cover sweeper it goes. Another good tight over for England. They've dragged things back a little bit in the last few overs. Balbirnie moves to 60, Sterling on 107, Ireland 185 for 1. Need 144 of the last 20 overs. Jono, not Fred, Nestlers, game on.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, you would say that Ireland are cruising it from this point, but one of the oldest sayings in cricket is that you have never won a game until Gary Naylor says it's impossible for you to win. So we've lost Gary, so we don't know what he's thinking, but they are cruising, are they not, gentlemen?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's looking pretty good. I thought James Vince bowled incredibly well. I mean, I bowl in a very similar style, and put in the group chat, I was very disappointed with some of the comments that were flying about. But yeah, they are cruising. They've got to make a bit of a mess of it from here. You'd think that's to finish it off.
Curran starts a new over. He bowls to Balbirnie, who's correct in defence. The ball goes to mid-wicket, no run. So 30 overs and 1 ball gone, 185 for 1. The target is 329. And with 2 set batsmen, what England will be thinking is we need to open an end. But with the run rate as I won't say it's low, but as manageable as it is, that the batsmen do not need to take the type of risks that are likely to lose a wicket, as Curran bowls again, and this is driven to mid-on. Good sprawling stop by the standing captain Moeen Ali. And does he prevent a run? Yes, he does. So 2 dot balls to start this Tom Curran over. Hello, Nestlers.
Hello.
I seem to have been talking to you all day, and Jono for that matter.
Oh, that's all right. What else you got to do?
Oh, we're here tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, and there's a lot going on. There's a test match starting tomorrow.
There's a lot of sitting and talking into a computer screen, isn't there?
Yeah, there are worse things to be doing. As Curran
The dream teams
is up to the wicket.
There are so many
Not up to the
dream
wicket.
teams on Guerrilla Cricket, I lose count.
Curran bowls, and Balbirnie tries to find a gap in the offside, but he can't beat the cover fielder, who's normally Owen Morgan in that position, but he isn't, because Morgan is off the field nursing his groin. Again, there are worse things to be doing on a Tuesday evening.
I think I was saying earlier on, gents, when we were on together, that I was saying that I thought Paul Stirling might have fancied batting on here.
I think you're
Yes,
right.
you did. You did. There's a great guerrilla cricket tradition to dig back something that you said, which has turned out to be correct. As Curran bowls again, and it's slogged across the line out to deep mid-wicket. Is there a man there? Well, no. He has to come around from much squarer, and he can't prevent, despite a dive and a push, cannot prevent the ball going over the line. It's 4 runs.
Decent effort that to get on one knee to Tom Curran, dispatch him over cow corner.
It is a decent effort. It was a length ball on off stump, and it was mowed across the line. There's no real better way to describe it. It's not necessarily what you'd teach batsmen to do in that circumstance, but it was successful. Let's see what Curran can come up with as a retort. Curran, who's thankfully shaved his moustache and beard since the first one-day international bowls outside the off stump, and this is cut, slapped just back with a square. And again, there's a big sprawling dive from the boundary rider, but this time it is prevented from crossing the boundary. Who's that out there? Is that Livingston? No, it's Dawson.
Well, he doesn't look
Dawson, number 83, who seems to have landed on his shoulder and done himself an injury. It was a good stop. He had a long way to go to his left. He palmed the ball back, and as he rolled over the fence, I think he's done something to his shoulder, his left shoulder. Anyway, he prevented the 4. Well, I don't know, but we don't know how many they ran because I didn't see him get up and whack the ball in. Anyway, the score is 191 for 1. Balbirnie is still on strike, so I'm assuming there were 2 runs there. As this is pulled round the corner behind square, the deep mid-wicket comes around the field. It's Jason Roy. Not the most notable bit of fielding he's done in the last year and a half. He was, of course, the fielder who executed the run-out of the last ball of the Super Over in 2019. That is the end of the over, and 192 for 1 off 31 overs. What are people saying on social media?
What are people saying on social media? Everyone confirming about Sterlo being the highest scorer. Mayank said, listening while in San Francisco for a few days, getting more and more excited while exploring this city, hoping Ireland can push through and win this game now. Yeah, it's a nice place, San Francisco. I've been there a few times.
It's surprisingly chilly in summer. In the evening.
Yeah, you get the what is it, the fog rolling in off the bay, don't you, and stuff. It's strange.
I think that's the Mull of Kintyre lyrics you're doing there.
Really? Things you expect to hear in guerrilla cricket number, I don't keep track, when he slips it in, says Anna Forsyth.
Who misses. New over, Mahmood, bowling to Balbirnie. It's defended up to mid on, no run.
Jay Grover said, I've just had a weird vision of Paul Stirling and Johnny Bairstow sharing mead in Valhalla. I know what you mean, Jay. Spicy Golden Duck, good evening, Gorilla. I'm loving every minute of this. I'm English, but I find myself wanting both teams to win. What the hey, it's cricket.
Yeah, something needs to explain the nature of sport to you. It's very difficult to have 2 winners in a 2-team competition. As Saki Mahmood, right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Balbirnie, is very correct in defence. He plays it to cover, no run.
Well, isn't the winner cricket?
What we haven't seen is, you know, when they put in the wasp thing or whatever they want to call it this week. Been no mention of the tie yet. No. There's not had a percentage show.
Do they? I don't know. Is that something they generally do?
Or would it go to a super over, Knuckle? Just nod your head.
No.
Oh, right, so no, it would be a tie. So, yeah, I find that quite interesting. I think Ireland should be better than 40% as it was last time.
Mahmood bowls. It's a short ball. It goes over the shoulder of the ducking Balbirnie. I said ducking Balbirnie, and that is no run.
This has screwed up my bet, though, Paul Stirling. Thank you very much.
What was your bet, Restless?
I had Camphor to be high scorer for Ireland in this match.
He's going to struggle.
He is.
Not impossible, but it'll be a bit of a struggle.
Should have thought.
You got decent odds on that, I would have thought.
11-2.
Oh, not so decent odds.
Only had a couple.
Mahmood into Balbirnie. Down the wicket he comes. He tries to slap this through the offside. He picks out mid-off. They come through for a single. The throw misses the stumps, but hits Balbirnie, who then limps away a little bit It didn't look like it was a particularly fierce throw, and I didn't see exactly where it hit him, but it certainly hit him. No malice from the standing England captain, I'm sure. He was trying to hit the stumps. He picked it up, wanged it in right-handed, and it hit Balbirnie on the inside of the knee. Inside of his left knee, I think. That is a painful spot. No, well, actually a bit lower. Probably on the calf, yeah. Probably not as bad. Just run it off as Mahmood bowls to Stirling. Full ball, and it's driven, slammed back past him down to the mid-off boundary, the long-off boundary for one of these.
That went like a tracer bullet.
Yeah, what happened to that guy who did that jingle? Didn't hear about him anymore. Well, Stirling, that was not very complicated. He just got his front leg out of the way and slapped it. I can't think of a better way to describe it.
Agricultural.
He's quite happy when he doesn't have to run, his poor Stirling. And one ball left of his 32nd over. He hit that really hard. It actually wasn't too far away from Mahmood in the air, but it was going very, very quickly. Mahmood in to complete the over. It's short and it's cut very fine, but the third man is very fine. So a single to Stirling to complete the over. 198 for 1 of 32. Stirling 112 and Balbirnie 68. Speak, gentlemen.
Speak.
Me?
Yeah,
go
on. Say something, go on.
Well, I mean, do you know what? Obviously, I'm an England cricket fan. I've got connections to Ireland, but I just think for the sake of the series, and you know, we all want Ireland to continually get better and better and better. And I think this is, had England have bowled them out, if we'd have won the toss and bowled them out for 180 again, and it won inside 30 overs, it's seen as a pointless kind of series almost, isn't it? But this has been brilliant. I think Knuckle wants to jingle the new bowler.
Rashid on the 45, and 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 you can turn it both ways, and you can turn it, and you can turn it both ways, and you can turn it, and you can turn it both ways, and you can turn it on the 45.
Well, we had time for that lengthy jingle because there was a long conference from the England Brains Trust standing captain and bowler as to exactly where they were going to set this field. But the camera is not showing us where indeed those people have been put. Oh, now they are. We've got a man on the 45 round the corner. We've got a deep mid-wicket. We've got a long on. We've got 4 men in a ring on the offside as Rashid bowls outside the leg stump. Would have been a wide, but Stirling hits it to square leg and they take a single. And 199 for 1. Only 130 runs needed now off 17 overs and 5 balls with 9 wickets in hand. You'd think they were probably 65% favourites, I would have guessed, as Rashid bowls to Balbirnie. It's on leg stump and he finds a gap in the leg side, plays it out to the man at Cow for a single. 2 singles off the first 2 balls of Rashid's 6th over. He's got none for 35 so far, compared to the success he had. Well, I didn't actually see the second game. Did he pick up a lot of wickets in the second ODI?
I'm same as you. I didn't see it.
As this is dragged from outside off stump out to mid wicket by Stirling. Another single. But we haven't seen much in the wicket for the bowlers. I haven't seen any swing, any noticeable seam movement, or any particular spin. It's been just very gentle turn throughout the day as Rashid bowls that's shorter on leg stump and turned round to deep square for the 4th single in a row. 3 for 34 Rashid got in the second ODI, so he's had a successful couple of games up to this point. He's so far wicketless, but it doesn't mean he's going to remain so, because things can change. Stirling settles over his bat. This is shorter again, and again easiest single in the world played to deep mid wicket. I think we've had 5 singles on the leg side this over.
So frustrating as a bowler as well. Like, you know, if they're just picking up an easy single every ball and just rotating the strike, it's so frustrating.
This one's tossed up outside the off stump, driven to mid-off, the first dot ball of the over and the last ball of the over, 203 for 1 off 33. Bring us some tweets.
Jay Grover says, it's been years since I've done this, but I wanted to see if I could still have information gathering skills. Turns out Jono went to Eton and was involved in the illegal turtle trade in the Carolinas with nestlers, you bastards. Those were the days, eh, Jono?
I tell you what, we didn't half make some money out of it.
Oh, God, didn't we?
There's no turtle like an illegal turtle.
Well, these aren't tortoise shell glasses for no reason. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I've got shoes made out of it. Grits and Grats is with us. Says, does anyone, Knackle, know the lowest amount of wickets have fallen in a chasing team that ultimately lost an ODI? In case Ireland lose but remain 4-1 or 4-2.
I can't see any chance of that happening. But Stats Guru is your friend. Just do a Google search for it and see what you can dig up by that database. Well, another change of bowling. It's England's opening left-hander is going to be into the attack. We'll jingle him up after this delivery. Willie up to the stumps, bowls full outside the off stump and driven, beats the diving mid-off fielder down to the boundary at long off, 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You think the people would have had enough of Willie and Angels? His name's Willie. Listen, gorillas, and you'll hear it isn't so. Oh no.
Yeah, full ball from Willie outside the off stump, and Stirling's method is uncomplicated, but it is certainly effective. As Willie up to the wicket now again, bowls, and this is turned into the air down to square leg, and the man just behind square leg has absolutely no time to get round to that. That's consecutive 4s at the start of this Willie over.
I think regardless of how...
Well, it was a bit of a gift because it was short on his hip, but he just leaned it, he levered it in front, just in front of square, and out to the boundary after a couple of bounces.
I think regardless...
The range trust convene again. Sorry, Jono.
I think regardless of how positive you are as a side, or how much you back each other in any given situation, and England still will be doing that, there will be blokes out there in the field now starting to panic, thinking we need to change this and we need to change it.
It's not panic. They're not going to be executed if they lose this game.
No, but they'll all win.
This is a slightly slower ball perhaps from Willie. No, it wasn't. It was 83 back his standard. On leg stump, and Stirling tried to turn it into the leg side, but only played it back to the bowler. Dot ball, a welcome dot ball. There's one thing that bowlers in this situation do not like, and that's going for a 4 off the first ball of the over, because that absolutely takes all the pressure off the batsman. If you can string together a couple of dot balls at the start of the over, then they're looking for something, and that gives you a little bit of an in. But 2 4s off the first 2 balls of the over, they don't have to do anything like that. Willie bowls again, and this is dabbed down to the fine third man again by Stirling for a single. So there have been 10 runs, I believe, 9 runs of 4 balls of this over.
He's actually playing it very nicely, Stirling, because he knows now that having got 2 boundaries off the first 2 balls, they can now just rotate the strike for the rest of the over. The worst thing that he could do is still continue to go looking for those big shots and get his wicket away. So I know it sounds like a very basic thing to say, but it's amazing how many times you see someone hit a boundary or 2 boundaries the first 2 balls and continue to look to be aggressive. Like the bowler's already on the back foot anyway, just milk him.
Basic things in sport win your matches. Every time.
Willie in again. It's a full ball. It's a half volley actually, and it's square driven by Balbirnie to the offside sweeper. That's a single.
Don't want to add grist to the mill to Jay Grover's earlier tweet about the turtle thing, but I was in North Carolina in February and I stayed at my friend's place, and it's actually called Turtle Pond Farm. So there's some truth. It's because the snapping red turtles that she's got on the farm there. So there's a little bit of truth to what Jay's discovered online, I think. I'll say no more.
Willie bowls. Short and wide is Stirling, but that ball was full and driven up to mid-off. No run. That's the end of a not very successful over from David Willey. 213 for one after 34. Stirling has 124. Balbirnie 71, and Hunt. They've taken the strap off the screen. Not very many runs needed, and plenty of overs to get them. Let's have some tweets.
Farong says, going on 1:30 here in Dakar. Down to a triple shot of whiskey. Dilemma. Looks like going to Kip after 3 a.m. Rev Rushy P. England have properly come off the gas here, he says.
Well, there are two teams playing. Let's not forget that whoever we're supporting, it's very easy to just concentrate on the team you care about and ignore the opposition. But Ireland have played pretty well. So let's give them some credit.
And Jay
Through
Grover
gritted teeth, perhaps.
Not me. Jay Grover says, now it all makes sense. He's happy, see. He knows. He's found me out. We're doomed, Jono.
I think we are, mate. Our cover's been blown.
Those bats you make, they've got a little seam of turtle shell in them, haven't they?
That's why they're so expensive.
Yeah, so it's illegal turtle shell put in there.
I don't know. Are turtles protected species? I wasn't even aware.
Should be, but not when Nestlers and I are around.
If you ever saw a film called The Freshman, it was around probably the early 90s with Matthew Broderick and the big chap, what was his name? Marlon Brando. It was about a club for eating endangered species, but it wasn't really. Anyway, it was a very, very good film. Seek it out if you can.
I think England, just going back to what we were saying about, Ireland have played very well. They have, but I do think, England will feel like they let Ireland off the hook in the first innings.
Oh, yeah. I think it's fair to say that England have certainly not played to their potential. I don't think they batted as well as they could have done, and I don't think they've bowled as well as they think they're capable of. But you've got to remember that, as I say, there are two teams involved, and the batsmen often don't let you bowl as good as you want to, and the opposition bowlers don't let you bat as good as you want to. This is the highest partnership for Ireland against England in ODIs, for what that's worth. Probably not a surprise.
And India.
Well, two of Ireland's main people have come to the game, though, haven't they? After failing in the first two games.
I'm going to do a Jono now. I'm going to say at the end of the England innings, I said, Ireland have 2 or 3 players who, if they come off, can chase down this total. So if you make enough predictions, some of them will come true.
It's amazing, Fred. It seems like we both have got some idea of what we're talking about.
Well, I think that of you and you of me, but nobody else thinks it of either of us. I think that's
absolutely. Yeah.
The impassive face of Owen Morgan watches on from the stands. I don't know how cold it is in Southampton, but he's got his training top zipped up to his chin, and he's watching his current team taking a pounding from his former team. So Rashid's going to start his 7th over, bowling to Andy Balbirnie. It's a slower ball on off stump, and again, they take a quicker single in the leg side, and whereas in the last over they found the gaps very easily. That was at least closer to the middle fielder, but still managed to get a run.
Our resident statsman's done his job. We should quite interesting about the we're talking about teams to lose. Chasing, having
losing many wickets. Oh, this is a googly. It's a little bit shorter from Rashid, and Stirling has all the time to just stay on the back foot and defend into the leg side. It did turn, but us spinners will tell you the shorter they are, the more they do turn. This is short and leg side, and he's got away with that because that was a real rank long hop outside leg stump, and Stirling did pull it round the corner, but straight to the man at deep back to the square. So only a single off a rank bad ball. Why are the England team wearing black armbands? Was this discussed earlier? It's a slower leg break on leg stump is turned very easily to that same man at deep back to the square. That's David Willey. Another single.
John Hill.
Oh, right. Okay. And again, these batsmen, I've not seen the bat beaten, actually, as Rashid bowls again, and Stirling gives himself room, slaps this through the offside, but out to the sweeper, has to make some ground to his right, just a single. I'm not sure if Stirling is going to be running many threes from now on. He's been out there for a while, and he looked like he's breathing a bit heavily. I don't know what the horse racing term is. He's blowing, perhaps. There's, again, shorter ball, the one that went on with the arm from Rashid. Balbirnie plays it comfortably off the pitch to mid-wicket. No run. The end of the 30th over, 217 for one. Only 112 runs more required.
Joe Grover says the freshman was mint. I thought I was the only person who saw it.
Stop agreeing with me, Grover.
Reverend Rushy P says still no point rubbing their noses in it. We aren't Australia, are we? Jay says vegan Dockers Nestlers. I think not. I don't know what that means. Josie Oakey was in North Carolina in October. He was in Charlotte. Found the nice bars. I had a Tuttle's Yed this morning, but filled the toilet pan and it went away.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I don't quite understand that one. I'll be in the sea with the communists says when it gets tight like this, imagine England asking Archer to come on for a couple of overs, or Wood. Pace is so valuable, even if Willie and Jordan are ace.
Well, this is a shot and a half. First ball of Willie's over. He's bowled a full ball outside the off stump, and Stirling has taken a step out there and absolutely mowed this over cow corner and way back into the stand for 6 runs.
Boom, boom.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
Willie bowls again. That was a little bit quicker. I don't think he quite appreciated that shot from Stirling. It's been nudged down to third man for single. And I wonder if the two of them will have a word or two. Yeah, it was a sideways glance from Stirling. I'm wondering whether Willie muttered something at him. If he's got anything of his father's disposition, Willie, he'll be a bit of a hard nut. He was renowned, Peter Willie, as the hardest man on the England cricket scene, which is why England always picked him against the West Indies. So it swings and roundabouts, really. He's always got the tough jobs.
Always thinks a bit
when he was umpiring.
Yeah, he was renowned as somebody you didn't want to get into pick a fight with. There's Willie bowls to Balbirnie, who drives at air, and Bairstow takes. It's been a long time since actually a ball's got through to Bairstow, so glad that he's still awake.
I always think it's rather pointless giving someone's lip who's like sort of got 133. It's almost like you just turn around and go, just fuck off and look at the scoreboard.
Well, yeah, but you can still call him a short-ass ginger, whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's irrelevant.
But he will still remain a short-ass ginger, regardless of what score he's on.
Balbirnie to 2,000 runs.
What, in this innings? What a hell. As Willie bowls again, and this is dragged through mid-wicket from a ball which looked like it was on middle and off. And he's just played that with an absolutely horizontal bat. And it's a couple of bounces and over the boundary for 4. That was a net shot in that it was almost like he knew exactly where the ball was going to be by the time it got to him. You know, you can play shots in the nets in March, which have no relation to going out and batting in the middle in April. But that was somebody who knew where the ball was coming to him. It's Willie who's taken some tap balls, an attempted Yorker. I think it's a full toss by the time a low full toss by the time it reaches Balbirnie, and he just guides this down to third man for a single. This has not been a successful over for David Willey, to say the least.
Ball from it with ball to go.
Yeah, England have some flexibility in who has to bowl the remaining overs, because they have 3 overs from a 6 bowler. But I don't even think that's going to be enough to drag them out of this mire. Willie to complete the over. Bowls Yorker to Stirling, who looks for a single as he just drops this into the offside. There isn't one there. The end of the 36th over, 229 for 1, Stirling 133, Balbirnie 78, 100 needed off 14 overs.
Grits and Grats says Nestle and Jono have to write a book on their turtle exploits. Just make sure it's available in hardback. Jay Grover. Vegan. I have got vegan Doc Martens. You're right, Jane. He's calling himself the unofficial GC historian. And Jeff Perkins says Fred going on about the big hard English Willie.
Brilliant.
You know, if you're looking for double entendres, you'll always find this is the place for you. Let's be honest. You don't get these on the BBC except on one occasion, and they couldn't stop laughing about it.
Well, there was a bit of it yesterday with a certain person commentating on Surrey and Middlesex.
Yes, well, if you're listening to us, hi Dan Norcross. Moeen Ali is bringing himself back into the attack, and his 5 overs have cost 35 so far. And he hasn't looked all that threatening from what I've seen. His first ball to Balbirnie is turned to mid-wicket. Good diving stop from James Vince prevents any run.
It's Moeen Ali.
2 men out on the leg side at deep mid-wicket and at long on. I can't see a fielder out on the... well, this is dragged from outside off stump to just in front of square leg, and it beats the diving fielder who's come round from mid-wicket and goes for 4. He was reaching a long way in front of him to play that sweep. He was absolutely on full stretch, and it's not always easy to control those. They can go up in the air, but he got that bang on. And this is played back to Moeen Ali. I thought for the moment it was going to stay in the air, but it didn't. It bounced a couple of times before it got to him. So a dot ball, 233 for 1. And Balbirnie will be eyeing 3 figures as he's on 82. The partnership 183 as Moeen bowls again a little bit shorter. Onto the back foot goes Balbirnie. Easiest single in the world up to long on, and that's pretty much all they need. Have we seen, I haven't watched the whole of this England bowling innings, has any bowler looked threatening? Has any bowler been going past the outside edge or hitting the pad?
I think early, they both Stirling and Delaney, neither of them looked great, but ever since.
Stirling makes room and he hits this up in the air over mid-off. How far has it gone? It's gone not far enough, but it's over the man running back from extra cover. It almost plugged. It bounced a couple of times out to that boundary. I didn't think he'd got enough of it to go for 6, but I thought there might have been a fielder out there. There wasn't, so it was a pretty safe shot. He's come back for 2. Blowing hard, that's the expression I was looking for Stirling, as he finds, well, he takes a good single as he played it past extra cover to wideish mid off the end of the over. 37 gone, 236 for 1. Let's hear some tweeters. Anybody other than Jay Grover?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, he agrees with you all the time these days.
Yeah, he does. I think he's drunk.
And it's Jay Grover. Just to upset and not Fred a bit more about the little known comedies we probably both enjoyed. Remember Quick Change?
Yes, with Bill Murray as the clown who robbed the bank. That was a fantastic film.
Great film.
No.
That was a really good film. Yes. Well done, Jay.
I don't remember that at all. I'll tell you what I was watching the other day. I only watched a couple of episodes which I loved at the time, actually still funny, was Ever Decreasing Circles.
No, not one of mine.
You didn't watch it?
My favourites, no.
Oh, I loved it. That's growing up in Thaden Boys. That TV show.
I was talking to an ex-Thaden Boys teammate of mine on Twitter yesterday as Willie starts a new over and goes past the outside edge of Balbirnie. It was a flat-footed drive. He's done a couple of those in the last 2 overs to Willie, but he's had the good sense to make sure that the ball doesn't hit the edge of his bat.
They were playing again the other day.
Thaden?
Yep.
No, I haven't been down there for a very long time.
No, they were.
Brett Sanders, who is the match announcer at Chelmsford on 50 over days, who I played with at Thaden, wears shirts which are even more ridiculous than Dan Norcross. As Willie bowls, and this is slapped to extra cover where Vince fields, no run, and Balbirnie's looking at his bat and saying, "Don't fail me now. You've got me to 83. Just drag me at least another 17 more, or at least my team to 329."
Warren Hyde still plays down there, captaining the seconds.
Yeah. I was only there a couple of years, but enjoyable times, I have to say.
Nice ground.
Yes. Willie up to the wicket. Makes room, does Balbirnie, outside the off stump. It was a similar way in which Delaney was bowled, actually. He made some room and Willie was going for the base of leg stump, but it missed leg stump, and I don't know whether the umpire called that a wide or not.
I don't think he did.
Probably should have. That's the thing about going for leg stump. It's good if you hit. If you miss, chances are the umpire's going to call it. I suppose he thinks if he was in his normal position it would have hit his pads, but I don't know if they're allowed to think like that. Willie, this is a better over than the last. Very full on leg stump, and it hits maybe a bit of pad, bat a bit of pad, goes towards gully region. A single to Balbirnie. 237 for 1. 2 balls left in the 38th over.
So apparently, Knuckle has found out that only 3 teams have ever lost an ODI 1 or 2 down, and all of those were rain affected. In a full game, the record is 3 down in the first ever World Cup game where Sunil Gavaskar.
Well, the Sunny Gavaskar game. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Got out of 174 balls.
Yeah, it wasn't a protest. He just didn't know the rules. As Willie bowls, and this is nudged out through the offside by Stirling. They've taken 1. Are they going to come back for 2? They do. Jason Roy gets the ball in quickly, but 2 easy runs to Paul Stirling. He's now on 137, 239 for 1, 90 needed off 12 overs and 1 ball. It's still not an absolute gimme, but you have to think that the longer these two stay there, the easier the chase is going to be.
So you've still only got Ireland at 40%. I think the Sky commentators talk a lot about, okay, how would it look if you put 2 wickets onto it? If you've got 2 new batters at the crease, all of a sudden asking them to go from ball 1, it's going to be very difficult.
Well, but at the moment there aren't 2 ball wickets on the crease. This is going for the Yorker again. It's a full toss, which Stirling slaps straight to mid on the end of the over. Much better over from Willie. 38 gone, 239 for 1. And let's hear some more Grover news.
Grover musings. Actually, no, it's Cart who says this is turning out to be a great chase. Stirling and Balbirnie getting the job done.
Well, they are. And in fact, it sounds a bit harsh, but if they don't win from here, then these 2 might be to blame, which is an unusual thing to say about teams who've a partnership who've got themselves in such a good position. But you think this is an almost impregnable position, but not quite. And the batsmen who are padded up at numbers 4 and 5 will be a little bit nervous as Moeen starts a new over and Balbirnie makes room, tries to carve through the offside, but doesn't beat the cover fielder.
Who then does the thing on his back with his legs.
Yeah, it looked like a beach turtle. I think you'd be round there trying to sell him off the parts. Moeen bowls again, and this is Moeen up in the air out. There must be a deep mid wicket. There is, but he can't get round. He was much. Oh, he did.
That might be brilliant. That might be a brilliant piece of fielding.
Might be a brilliant piece of fielding by Jason Roy. He dived in the air to bring it back, and we're going to have a close look at this. He was much squarer at deep mid wicket. I thought it might be going down his throat, but it wasn't. It went closer towards mid on, and he's jumped in the air, and he has.
That's amazing.
Flung it back from 3 feet beyond the boundary.
That's amazing.
Fallen to the ground and then run back, and that is quite an astonishing piece of work. It's not quite as good as that amazing catch he took in, was it the Bangladesh Premier League?
That's Liam Livingston.
A couple of years ago, which was just unbelievable. But it is only 2 runs. Brilliant work as Moeen bowls again. Onto the back foot goes Balbirnie, and it's played to mid wicket, no run. It was Liam Livingston, not Jason Roy. I apologise to the Lancashire man as Moeen bowls, and this is flipped round the corner. It was a lap sweep. There's nobody down at long leg. It's going to be 4 runs to Andy Balbirnie.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You know what I'm saying, Jono, about net batting? I mean, it's almost like you're premeditating the shot, or you're premeditating maybe 2 shots depending on where you think he's going to bowl.
Yeah, I mean, The problem is that England aren't cutting off boundaries. There's at least one and over.
Well, sometimes there's two. As Mowing bowls again, and this is again swept, but on the ground towards backward square leg. Again, the fielders don't seem to be where they're hitting it, which is good batting and perhaps not that great fielding as they come back for two, as Willie does manage to stop the ball out at deep backward square. You noticed in the there was some time in the England innings where they kept finding the fielders, and here they just keep missing the fielders as Mowing bowls again on leg stump, turn round the corner. Adil Rashid picks it up at short fine leg. They do take a single. The end of the 39th over, 248 for 1. So 81 needed off 11 overs. So that's it's about 7.5 and over with 9 wickets in hand. You're going to win this 75 to 80% of the time. Oh, and the win biz says 50%. So my 80% is probably closer to their 50 than their 50%.
So William have got 2 left, Curran 4 left, Ali 3 left, Rashid 3 left, and Vince 7. Well, you can't see Vince bowling again, to be completely honest. So
well, I thought you'd stand up for the Dobbers.
Well, as I said earlier, I've made a career out of bowling like James Vince. That's the abuse I was getting. And then I can't remember who it was. Someone net bowler. I was like, he's just being cruel now. I think that was Gary, wasn't it? Couldn't believe my ears.
Well, everybody's a net bowler. I'm not saying something. I don't know anyone who doesn't bowl in the nets, to be fair. Well, it says Tom Curran on the board, but it's Willie who's shining the ball. I think they thought about it and have decided... Oh no, he's shining it for Tom Curran. Okay. Well, Curran's not had a great series from what I've seen. He did score some runs in this game, but he looked so out of touch. Actually, the longer he batted, the worse he looked. But he's got a chance to try and rectify it with the ball as he bowls to Andy Balbirnie, who pushes it to mid-off and takes a quick single. Mowing was perhaps a little bit on his heels, or perhaps he was back at the edge of the circle. So 1 off the first ball. They're not allowing the England bowlers to string dot balls together, and that's really all they need to do at this point. 199 is the partnership from 184 balls. And if they score this next run, I'm sure Nestlers will be up on his feet clapping his compatriots. As Curran bowls another attempted Yorker, it's played up to long on, and that is the single that brings up the 200 partnership between Stirling and Balbirnie. There's not a huge amount of 200 partnerships in one-day international cricket. Is that the highest Ireland partnership? Somebody will tell us.
They were saying highest against England earlier, weren't they? Outside of that one in India in 2011, but I'm not sure what the all-time record is.
Curran bowls again down the leg side. Balbirnie would have done better to miss it, but he let it hit his pad, and Bairstow chases it down to short fine leg. It's a leg by, 251 for 1. We're going to have a change over after this over. Knuckle will let us know who's coming in.
Knuckle on ball by ball, Annie summarising, and Gary on tweets, apparently.
So that'll be the end for the three of us. I should say a preemptive farewell to you all, and see whoever's in tomorrow. This is a full toss by Curran, quite a high full toss as well. And it was just, slapped is a word I keep using for Stirling, but that was a slap, and he played this up to mid-off, took a quick single. He looks to be struggling a bit for fitness. But with 10 overs to go...
He was struggling for fitness at 10 to 2 this afternoon. It's not...
yeah. But there's nothing like scoring runs to keep you out there. As Curran bowls again and Balbirnie cuts, but actually for once gets it straight to the man at backward point. So a dot ball. A better over this for England. And I mean, however well you're batting, when you play in a team which loses a lot of games, there's always that nagging doubt at the back of your mind that something could go wrong. But these two have done their best to dispel those fears as Curran bowls, and it's cut again, this time past the man at point out to the sweeper for a single. The end of the 40th over, 253 for 1. Stirling has 139. Balbirnie 95. That's it from me. I pass over to Knackle, Gary and Annie to take you through to the close.
Harry, the next tweet is Josie Oak from about 5 minutes ago about beer. And I'll see you all during the Pakistan Test Series.
Thank you, not Fred. Thank you,
Bye.
Jono. Thank you, Nestlers. Well, my friends, what a game we have ahead of us. You join us on Gorilla Cricket for this coverage of the third and final one-day international between these two teams, with Ireland chasing 329, the score they famously chased down in Bangalore in 2011. 253 for one after 40 overs. Needs 76 off the last 10 overs with 9 wickets in hand. Paul Stirling is on 139 not out. The Irish captain Andy Balbirnie is on 95 not out. I'm Knuckle Mpande taking you through the last 10 overs. Adil Rashid is coming back on to bowl. None for 42 off his 7, not been as devastating as he had been through the rest of the series. He pulls out of his delivery so we can have the rest of the jingle. Bowls to Balbirnie, who stretches forward and blocks into the onside. Rashid fields off his own bowling, means that there is no run. Gary Naylor and Annie Chave are with me on tweets and summarising respectively. What a game.
God, have I enjoyed this partnership. It's been fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, just the 4th ever partnership of 200 plus in one-day international cricket for Ireland. The record is 227 by Porterfield and Kevin O'Brien against Kenya and Nairobi in 2007, but I don't think that is very much a secondary consideration as Balbirnie pushes this into the onside and runs a very good 2, calling Stirling through, moves to 97, 255 for 1.
Yes, it's certainly bringing echoes of Bangalore 2011, isn't it? With Paul Stirling in the Kevin O'Brien role.
Something about this score, isn't
Slider
it?
from
They like to
Rashid.
chase that.
Keeps a little bit low. Balbirnie blocks back to the bowl. There is no run. Ireland were never this comfortable against England that night. They were 60 odd for 5 that night, weren't they?
Did Kevin O'Brien have pink hair at that point?
Did, yes. Ooh, Balbirnie stretching forward, doesn't read the slower delivery from Adil Rashid, and I think that might have just fallen short of Adil Rashid, or he was just diving to save the run, but he does so. There is no run, just 2 runs off the first 4 balls of this Adil Rashid over. He's into his work quickly. 5th ball of the over. Balbirnie sweeps. There's a man up on the 45, but it finds him. Saqib Mahmood. Moeen Ali, in fact. It's unusual to see the captain at short line leg. They come through for a single. But all the best fielders are back on the boundary now, as they will be in the death overs. 3 runs off the over so far. 1 ball left. Stirling on strike.
This is where they need Chris Jordan, isn't it?
A lot of bowlers England don't have available to them for various reasons. Stirling tries to mow this over the onside at the top edge. It's gone high in the air and it's been dropped, or it possibly just evaded the man running back from the edge of the circle. Paul Stirling has another life. He was dropped. Very tough catch by that Vince put down on 95, and I think it's the same man who's dropped him again on 140. That went miles in the air off the top edge sweep. We'll see how close Vince actually got to this. But it went up in the air. It was not caught. Let's have a look. They might have actually run 2 while that ball was in the air. Oh, he should have got there. He did really well, James Vince. Again, got there and put it down. James Vince has dropped Paul Stirling twice.
The pimps in the crib, ma. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Drama. They must have taken 2 off that, because Stirling's on 141, Balbirnie's on 98. 258 for 1. 71 needed off 9 overs.
Yeah, there was a bit of Capel Dev catching Viv Richards about that in front of the grandstand at Lord's in the 1983 World Cup final. They're not easy. He did get there, but that would have been a tough catch to pull off. On tweets, Warroy Pom says England playing like they know they have to let Ireland win so they can have a decent beer up tonight. Well, I'm not going to impugn the integrity of the England players. Neymar Butlins has a slightly different take. Not happy with England bowling. Do these guys want to be in a World Cup calibre team? They will always be the guys who lost to Ireland. Well,
no, they won't.
These are a very experienced pair at the crease, and they could beat most sides when they're in a mood like this.
Also, they will not be remembered as the guys who lost to Ireland. A lot of this team are World Cup winners. Curran in, that's a fantastic shot by Andy Balbirnie, and he squeezed it up over backward point to go to his first 100 as Ireland one-day international captain, the 6th of his career. Andy Balbirnie, fantastic knock from the Irish skipper. What is that? That is 102 off 100 balls, 12 fours. No real celebration from Andy Balbirnie. He knows the job is not done, but let's salute a fabulous innings.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Congratulations, sir. You are a centurion.
He is a centurion, and he backs away outside leg stump and flashes this up over the infield and comes through for a single. The superlative Liam Livingstone, who's done brilliant work through this innings, comes through comes around to field at cover. More importantly, in many ways, was the boundary off at that ball, because we've now had 5 runs off the first 2 balls of the over, and Ireland need under 8 and over.
Just get in with Pirate Badshaw, who says, I'm trying to live the euphoria, but my nerves are fried. The pink hair was to do with the cancer charity run by
all I could remember was
hold that
this
thought.
big
Curran, slow
head.
ball outside off stump. Stirling slaps this down to the hapless James Vince at long off. They come through for a single.
Well, we're living every second with you, Pirate Badshaw.
What a game. 65 needed off 51 balls, 9 wickets in hand. Surely Ireland can't lose this from here. Any team would be disappointed to lose a game from here, regardless of the strength of the opposition. Balbirnie on 103, facing up to Tom Curran, who's bowled well in this second and third spell. Outside off stump, cut by Balbirnie straight to point. There might be a run out here at the non-striker's end. I'm not sure whether Tom Curran managed to get the ball away quick enough. The throw was a little bit off target, and Curran had to intervene and throw the ball back onto the stumps. Paul Stirling doesn't look particularly happy with life. They've gone upstairs. I think Stirling might be short. He thinks he's short. Let's have a look. Stirling is run out. Stirling is run out for 141. Very good work from Tom Curran, rescuing the slightly errant throw. The end of a magical innings from Paul Stirling. He goes for 142, in fact, of 128 balls. Balbirnie called him through for the single, then sent him back. Ireland lose their second wicket, but wonderful stuff from Paul Stirling.
There must be a run out here. Oh, how tragic. How tragic, how tragic, how tragic.
246 for 2, 65 needed off 50 balls. What a knock from Paul Stirling. Somebody speak, please.
I'm just, I'm sort of feeling the pain here, but what a fantastic innings. He must be exhausted.
Yes, it's no surprise he was run out, really. He did get a second wind, because in the 90s he looked all in, but that was a really splendid innings. But England have got one end open now. I think it's going to be much harder to score in this sort of twilight hours with England's Rashid, I'm sure, coming back to bowl very, very soon.
And Tom Curran's a good death bowler as well, isn't he?
Well, it's a hell of a chance for this young Irishman, playing just his 3rd one-day international, just 20 years old. Yeah, Rashid was bowling the other end. I'm sure he'll just bowl through now. England have plenty of options with Willie, with Curran, with Saqib Mahmood. Balbirnie is on strike after that run out, and he flays this up over backward point down to other Rashid at 3rd man. They come through for a single.
Yeah, on Balbirnie, J Grover 2307 says, Gary, possibly also a secret public school boy involved in the Carolinian turtle trade. Also, mint Balbirnie.
Yeah, cracking.
I missed the turtle trade bit.
Oh, it's been and gone. The trade and
Harry Bradshaw says, bloody good innings from Stirling.
Yeah.
And also, nerves!
Or nurse, as the case may be. Harry Tector made a rather unspectacular, never a spectacular duck, but a rather undistinguished 9-ball duck in the first innings. Batted a lot better. First ODI rather, batted a lot better in the second. He's off the mark straight away. A low full toss from Tom Curran. He clips this into the onside. There might be two out there to Tom Banton. No, there isn't. Just a single. 266 for 2. Needs 63 off 48 balls. Seeing a highlights reel of Andy Balbirnie's 100.
I mean, Balbirnie's just got to put bat to ball here. Obviously, he's got to try and detune the risk, but he's the man who's likely to get Ireland over the line here, and he's got to just make as many good connections as he can, because if he does, and he doesn't hole out, surely Ireland will win.
You would think so,
He's looked great right from the start, though, hasn't he? He's looked really on the money.
He has. He's gone slightly slower over the last 20 minutes or so, certainly. But he'll be feeling a bit of the tension. To be the first Ireland captain to beat England in England will be quite a feather in the cap.
It is going to be Adil Rashid continuing. Of course, it's going to be one of the best one-day bowlers in the world from any nation. Starts on leg stump. Tector blocks back to the bowler. There is no run.
Guess he'll be pleased to see the back of Stirling, I think.
Yeah, it was a good battle between those two.
Very good.
As Rashid is in, second ball of the over. Attempted reverse sweep from Harry Tector, but he went down in instalments, and I think Rashid saw him coming and fires it into the body.
Good to see him playing himself in.
There is no run. If you think you're good at the shot, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think his captain's got to come down here and say, look, there's a single here, there's a single there. If the ball's a 4-ball, hit it. Otherwise, try and get the single.
Ooh, he tries to drive it this outside off stump. I'm not sure he read the Google. He takes the thick inside edge down to Moeen Ali, who is captaining from short fine leg. But of course, as I said, all the best fielders are back on the boundary at this stage of the innings. To be fair, short third man is up, so the reverse sweep is on if you can play it well.
I think take a single and give the captain a strike is the smart play.
Well, that's what ended up happening, even if that wasn't the intention from Tector. And Balbirnie tries to cut this delivery. It's too straight to cut. It's almost on leg stump, in fact. Rashid saw Balbirnie coming as he backed away outside leg stump. Single taken, 61 needed off 44 balls.
This is where the ODI game comes into its own, isn't it? When you've got such a great close finish like this.
Cricket can be amazing, whatever the format. There's just no doubt about that. Another potential googly from Adil Rashid that Harry Tector didn't pick, but he somehow got enough on it to take 2 off the inside edge out to deep square leg. I think Ireland will take that at this stage off Adil Rashid.
Yeah, I think Tector in particular has just got to see Rashid off here. He's only got 7 balls left, and he has no clue at the moment, so he'll do a lot worse than just dead back this.
Might be right, or at least try and nudge some singles around. Tector tries to nudge a single off that one. He picked the leg break this time, but there is no run. Good tight over from Adil Rashid. They're bowling very well at the death, which he's done throughout his the last few stages of his last few years of his career. Just the 4 runs off the over, 272, 59 needed from 42 balls.
We've got some tweets. Roy Palm says, well, I can see Knuckles' hand and mic in one half window or his left shoulder in a different half window. Duck or move to the left. I hope that makes sense to you, Knuckle.
It's all sorts of
But William Francis says, interesting, Ireland haven't changed the batting order. Wouldn't it make sense to have someone more experienced like O'Brien to see them home? Well, my comment on that is they don't want to expose Kevin O'Brien to Adil Rashid if at all possible. That would be a waste, and Rashid's only got 1 over to go. So I think holding O'Brien back for when Rashid is finished does seem to me to be a decent move.
Also holding O'Brien back for when when a few boundaries will make this really very much Ireland's game. There is a change of bowling. Tom Curran is out of the attack, and England's fastest bowler is back in. Comes Saki Mahmood, 59 needed off 42 balls. Full outside off stump, Balbirnie sends him up and over cover. The man at cover is on the cover boundary is quite square, so they'll come through for 2 as it plugs. Decent shot in the end from Andy Balbirnie. He knew there was no one at long off. Bold from Andy Balbirnie, first ball of the over.
This big playing area means you're going to get a lot of balls that drop between fielders. It's like the MCG in that sense.
Yeah.
So the aerial route is not as much of a risk here as it is on some smaller grounds.
That said, on some smaller grounds, that might have gone for 4.
Or 6.
Second ball of the over from Saki Mahmood. 2 runs off the first, 57 needed off 41 balls. It might be a wide down leg. Ooh, not given by the umpire. Martin Saggers, I think, standing in his first one-day international. Balbirnie went across to off stump to try and paddle sweep this. He's beaten by it. Technically that should be a wide, but I guess the fact that he moved from his usual position means that it won't be.
Yeah, there was one that was similar to that 2 or 3 overs ago, which I was surprised to see not called wide, but I think it is the batsman moving around in the crease.
Yeah.
Second Mahmood, the good leg stump Yorker, or good leg stump full delivery off that second delivery. What will he do with the third? It's a horrible fly full toss, which Balbirnie misses out on. He backed away too far outside leg stump, and Saki Mahmood has got away with a rank thigh-high full toss out 2 feet outside off stump.
Well, at least he's varying the over, I guess.
England will take the dot ball however it comes.
Yeah. I was about to say he's been bowling very well generally. I've been impressed with him. Until then.
Andy Balbirnie looking steely-eyed at Saki Mahmood.
Yeah.
Run for 47 off 8.3 overs. He won't care what his final figures end up with as long as England win. 7 need off 39. Ireland need a couple of boundaries just to make this a little bit easier. Good leg stump Yorker though. Balbirnie steps across outside leg stump and guides it to point. There's an easy single. Balbirnie to 108. Tector on 4.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they maybe should have sent Kevin O'Brien in front of Tector if he's not going to score big.
Well, I don't need to score that big.
Well, no.
I don't know. If you think he's your man, you want to show faith in him. What better time than this? And I suppose if you send Tector in now, if it doesn't come off, you've got time to recover it. Full delivery, and Tector tries to swing this down the ground, chokes up on his shot. He might get 2 down to long on. No, he won't. Just a single down to David Willey. A 90 mile an hour near Yorker from Saki Mahmood. Just a single off it. No boundary off this over yet.
My comment would be that who do you want coming in if you need 20 off 3 overs? Kevin O'Brien or Harry Tector? And I want Kevin O'Brien there.
Yeah.
For those.
No, I agree. I'm just I'm.
There's a case both
scarred.
ways. For sure.
Well, Andy,
I'm scarred from too many village cricket games where you send in someone and they stay there, and you know they shouldn't be there.
Well, you've got also the power of Curtis Canther and Mark Adair down the order as well, in case it comes to the last thrash. Would not be surprised at all if Adair gets promoted up the order. Last ball of Saki Mahmood's 9th. He's bowled very well in this series. Full toss though, and Balbirnie misses out on another full toss. Oh, he'd given himself up and would have been gone for all money if Vince had hit from extra cover. He's had a bad day in the field, James Vince. 2 tough catches dropped and missed the direct chance of the run out. Balbirnie was gone by yards, but he's through for the single as Vince misses. He's on 109. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 runs off the over. Ireland suddenly find themselves needing 54 of the last 6 overs with 8 wickets in hand. Game on.
Oh, and on that very point, Jake Rover say, "Oh man, Knackle's got his Roger Cook voice on. He's giving me the fear." So you'll be knocking on our doorstepping us, Knackle.
I didn't know you had a Rich Cook voice.
No, neither did I. I'm not sure what such a voice is.
Roger Cook was to be an investigative reporter who doorstepped con men and said, "Would you like to comment on this? These are victims of your work."
Rashid, the bats bowl his last over. Balbirnie backs away outside leg stump and drives this full delivery through the extra cover region. They'll take a single. Sam Billings is in position. 2 runs off the first ball of Rashid's 10th. The 45th of the innings. 52 needed from 35 balls. Hasn't been a boundary for a while. It's the first ball of the 41st over. There might be a boundary on that occasion. No, swept hard by Balbirnie behind square. James Vince takes one in the teeth for his trouble, and they come through for another 2. Good stuff from Ireland. 4 runs off the first 2 balls of the over, risk-free.
Oh,
well, not quite in the teeth, but in the
that could have done some damage, couldn't
upper
it?
chest region. Rashid in. Balbirnie backs away outside leg stump and tries to take him over long off, but he's taken him straight too long off. Sam Billings takes the catch. Andy Balbirnie, recognising that boundaries were needed, holes out for 113 off 112. It's been a wonderful innings from the Irish captain, but Ireland are 3 down, still needing 50 off 33 balls. Adil Rashid, England's trump card, does it again.
This is what Rashid can do, isn't it? Make you panic, dries up the runs.
He did look a little like he was running out.
Yeah.
Hard work doing the field there, and he did need to raise his troops a couple of times. There were a bit of slumped shoulders going on when Owen Morgan was going big, and now he's been batting for 35-40 overs out there, so a little bit of fatigue perhaps in the shot. He's done his bit though. Now it's over to the experienced Kevin O'Brien and the all-rounders to see if they can get Ireland over the line.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to make a decent 30 here.
Yeah. Also, Lorcan Tucker, the wicket-keeper, is a good player of spin. Although he won't have very much spin to face in this innings. Rashid's only got 3 balls left.
Oh, 3 balls.
Jay Grover with a Blackadder-like concision just says, bother.
Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful game, cricket. You can never ever be sure, can you? You can't be complacent.
It is Kevin O'Brien in, but they crossed while that ball was in the air, and that's a fabulous shot by Harry Tector. Slightly over pitch, but that is absolutely creamed through extra cover for 4.
My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Lovely flowing shot from the young Dubliner.
46. Yeah, that's the Australian way. You lose a wicket, so you attack from the other end.
46 needed off 32. That should be a wide. Decent sort of tumbling stop by Johnny Bairstow. Ugly, but he stops it being any more than 1 wide.
Wow.
Rashid's developed the ability to bowl a little bit quicker. On that occasion, getting it a little bit wrong. Fires in the leg break on leg stump this time. Turned by Tector into the onside. They come through for a single, and the man who was the hero that famous night in Bangalore in 2011 is at the crease now.
Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin.
Yeah, I think the Rashid wide was a deliberate attempt for the stumping, really. I think he thought that he was going to be given the charge after the 4 from the young man, and probably worth firing one down the leg side.
Kevin O'Brien spoke before this series about Ireland needing to find some more heroes to take on from his generation. That's a big LBW appeal. Moeen Ali's gone for the review. There's a big leg break from Adil Rashid that O'Brien missed completely on the sweep. My theory is this might actually have pitched outside leg stump.
Yeah, me too.
Certainly hitting. He's taking middle and off stump.
They're all reviewing, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone making the review sign, but it's only Moeen Ali's that counts.
That was out, that was out, that was definitely out. Was that definitely out? I don't know.
I don't think so. This has pitched a fair distance outside leg stump, hasn't it? That was a slightly desperate hoik from Kevin O'Brien. You were talking about him not being exposed to Adil Rashid early, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah, this is they really should just be seeing Adil Rashid off here. Surely that's pitched outside.
It looked like it, didn't it?
Or something.
Well, he's not hitting. The bat's a couple of stumps away from the ball. Surely this is pitched outside leg.
Yeah, I think
It's definitely in front of the stumps, but it looks like it's pitched outside.
Yeah, pitched outside leg. Move on. England waste a review. They've got 1 left, I think.
Well, I can see why they want to get Kevin O'Brien out pretty quickly.
Yeah, one left. Ireland have 2 left. They haven't used one yet in this innings. That is the end of Al Rashid's spell. 1 for 61 off his 10. Not as devastating, but pretty effective nonetheless. 44 needed off the last 5 overs. Ireland 285 for 3.
We have a question from J Grover 2307. It says, how do you know Turner is a good player of spin? He might be talking about Tector, or maybe...
No, Lorcan Tucker. Seen him a bit. Saw him a bit in the World T20 qualifier and in the Ireland series against the West Indies. Before in January, before lockdown hit, and he played the spin as well. Hayden Walsh Jr. and Kari Pierre sweeps and reverse sweeps well. So watching him bat, I think, is the answer to that question.
That's a good way of knowing. He's been given not out.
Yeah, yeah. There was a half a shout for a run out at the as Kevin O'Brien was trying to get back into his crease after the LBW appeal, but he's in comfortably. This man is back into the attack. He's had a wonderful series. He's got 2 overs left.
You think the people would have had enough of Willie and Angels? His name's Willie. Listen, gorillas, and you'll hear it isn't so. Oh no.
You seem to have quite a few Wings-inspired jingles today, or is it just me?
I think it's just you, Gary.
That's the second one I've heard.
David Willey doing a few turns. The men up in the circle are at short fine leg, short third man. Backward point quite fine, and extra cover. So we've got deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid wicket, and deep square leg back. And this one goes up to mid off. They come through for a single. Harry Tector with that single. O'Brien on strike, yet to score off the 1 ball he's faced. 43 needed off 29 balls for Ireland to beat England in England for the first time. Only the second time they'll have beaten them anywhere.
How many more wickets does Willie get when he opens the bowling rather than at the end of the innings?
I don't know. He doesn't tend to bowl at the death very often.
He's not a great death bowler.
That's a good delivery, though. An in-swinging Yorker, and O'Brien manages to dig this out just about examining the toe end of his bat as it dribbles down to James Vince coming in off the long off boundary. Single. 42 needed off 28. Ireland need a boundary just to settle the nerves. Quadran is 9 and over, which is fine for at this stage of the innings with 7 wickets in hand, but you need the odd boundary.
Yeah, I mean, he has a good Yorker, Willie. We've seen quite a bit of that, but he doesn't seem to have a short ball. He doesn't dig it in just to push the batsman back, so you can always come forward and get on the drive to Willie.
Willie in full, and that is driven hard by Harry Tector, who nearly took out David Milnes in the second one-day international. This is well fielded off his own bowling, though, by Willie, not hit quite as hard by Tector on that occasion.
Little bit of inexperience from the young man here, because he's trying to hit every ball for 4, and you can't do that. So sometimes when you come in, you've just got to work the ball around a bit and then get your shot selection right. But you're getting to eat up a few of the deliveries here.
Yeah, as much as I
he's
say,
feeling the pressure.
As much as I say boundaries, you absolutely cannot afford dot balls as a chasing team in this situation. Yeah. David Willey in 1 for 52 off his 8.3 overs. Ireland need 42 off 27. Not a dot ball on that occasion. Full outside off stump and driven hard by Tector out to Livingston, who's done superb work as a sub fielder throughout this innings. Come through for a single. 41 needed off 26.
At least one Lancastrian's having a good day.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a rocket of a throw, hasn't he?
His ground fielding is superbly athletic. Cumbrian, I think. By birth, but obviously Cumbria, very much a minor county. Cumberland, I guess it would be. 5th ball of David Willey's 9th over. It's a horrible full toss. That might be a no ball, and Kevin O'Brien has swung it back into the second row, takes out one of the seats. 6 runs. Is that a no ball? Gotta be close, hasn't it? I think they're going to have a look. Nevertheless, it's 6 runs, 6 valuable runs. Yes, it is a no ball and a free hit.
Over the line!
Not good all round, that.
Yep, 6, no ball, free hit. What will Kevin O'Brien do with this? He sets himself. That's surely going to be a wide. Willie doing the right thing, going for the wide Yorker. Kevin O'Brien falls over, misses it, but Willie got it too wide. It is a wide. The free hit carries over, so that's 8 runs off that one ball. 296 for 3. 33 needed off
Pirate
26.
Badshaw says this is 2011 all over again. Nerves. I don't think it's your nerves, Pirate Badshaw. I think it's David Willie's.
Well, they're scared of O'Brien.
Still got to bowl this free hit. It goes deep in the crease, Kevin O'Brien, and doesn't, as ever with free hits, doesn't really time it very well. Surely they'll take the single there. Yes, they do. But 9 runs off that one delivery with the 6 off the free hit and the wide, and then the single off the free hit. 297 for 3. 32 needed off 25. This is right back in Ireland's wheelhouse now.
That was not a good over.
Not a good ball.
There's a question for you at the end of this delivery, Knuckle.
Yeah, coming in one ball. 32 needed off 25. David Willey and left arm over the wicket. Tector goes down on one knee and swings this up and over the infield. Well, there isn't an infield in particular. One bounce to Liam Livingston on the deep point boundary. Tector will keep the strike. He's on 13 off 13. O'Brien is 8 off 4, and that over went for 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11 off that over. Ireland need 31 off 24 balls.
So, a man from Donegal says, if Ireland, please God, continue to win the match, does that mean we get 10 points out of a possible 30 for the Super League? Yeah. Would have taken that before the series started.
Yes, indeed. 10 points in the ODI Super League, and as I was saying, it's completely not impossible that Ireland could win the could finish in the top 8 with how sort of congested it is in the middle of that table.
Well, let's hope they win this then.
Jay Grover has a question perhaps for another day, but it's worth mentioning it. He said, I love the Gorilla Archive, but I'd like a Cliff Notes version so I know where the songs come from. I'm with you, Jay.
Oh, we did that. We've done that a little bit before, to be fair. Change of bowling as Al Rashid bowls out. This one comes back on.
He's not South African. Let Tom Curran. He'll have to bowl with tight control, or else they'll score some more. Of the let Tom Curran. Let Tom Curran.
Tom Curran in, 31 needed off 24 balls, bowling to Harry Tector, who swaps his hands very early and tries to reverse lift this over the keeper. It's a fair enough shot, but gave Curran time to adjust to the slower ball, and that lack of pace has done Harry Tector through to the keeper. Precious dot ball.
Yes, well, at least we haven't got Mull of Kintyre as we're going through Wings' back catalogue. Jeff Perkins says, very unsatisfactory when your Willie isn't a good finisher.
Very good.
So,
we're talking about erectile dysfunction
we'll go back
again.
behind the bike sheds later.
How many Willie jokes can we get in?
Oh, don't tempt them.
Oh.
Don't tempt them.
You're listening to Frankie Howard Does Cricket as Curran in, second ball of the over. Oh, Tector tries to swing himself off his feet and almost succeeds, but misses the ball entirely. Through to the keeper, there is no run. Kevin O'Brien's got to have a word here.
This is the shot selection I was concerned about, and Kevin O'Brien's having a word here, because if you're trying to absolutely knock the cover off every ball, you're going to miss more than you hit.
Yeah, and 31 needed off 22 balls. It was 31 off 24 at the start of the over. You don't need to do that. Just bat on ball. The boundaries will come.
Bat on, yeah, I completely agree.
In comes Curran. That's good from Tector. Full outside off stump and drilled by
lovely.
Harry Tector. He is very good through the covers, and he's shown that again. Fabulous shot. 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Down on one knee. The knee, the back sort of shin parallel to the ground, along the ground, and absolutely drilled. Wonderful shot by Harry Tector.
Yeah, low percentage stuff from Curran there. He went for the Yorker, and this lad's shown he can drive, so needs to be length or back of the length.
27 needed off 21 balls. He goes full again. He does go to the Yorker. He's got a good one. It's dug out by Tector, down to long off. They will come through for 2. Well run by Tector and Kevin O'Brien. Tector moves to 19. Not that the individual scores matter at this stage. 25 off 20.
See, this is where I think England are missing Morgan here. I think Morgan will be having a word with Curran and saying, don't give him the drive option, this lad. That's where he wants it. You bowl where your opponent does not want the ball. And he absolutely wants it in the slot there for driving.
Tector on strike. Curran in, bowling the 5th ball of his 9th over. It's a slower ball, and it's been dropped down at long on. Tom Banton, who's fielded so well in this series, came hurtling in from the long on boundary. He got to it, but it's gone through his hands. Harry Tector is dropped on 19. More importantly, they take the single. 24 needed off 19 balls. England's ground fielding's been very good today. The catching, very much less so.
I think he just misjudged that. He should have kept running.
Slow ball, good slow ball bouncer from Tom Curran. Does Kevin O'Brien in the lack of pace in the flight, really. But a decent over for Ireland. They need just 24 off the last 3 overs to record yet another famous victory against Ireland. I think they're
exciting stuff.
Yeah, they're kind of done with one-off famous victories against Ireland, but hopefully this can kickstart something. 305 for 3.
Well, this was the scenario I said they wanted Kevin O'Brien for 24 off 3 overs. 2 or 3 lusty blows from the Irishman who brought them home in Bangalore, and this game will be done. Easier said, though, than delivered.
Yeah, Gary, you seem to have got quite dark in there. You look a bit like Jeff Goldblum from The Fly.
From The Fly, yes.
Or indeed Hendo from Guerrilla Cricket. David Willey going to finish up. 1 for 63 off his 9. Good wide Yorker from David Willey. Nailed that perfectly. Tector couldn't get under it. Misses through to the keeper. There is no run. But he just tried to swing at that. Just drop the bat on it, get a single. But this is the experience. This is the thing that separates the top teams from the rest and the top players from the rest. It's not easy. It's not as easy as the really good guys make it look.
The really good guys.
Yeah, it's not as easy as the top players make it look. It really is. 24 off 17 balls. David Willey, left arm over the wicket. Full again outside off stump and wide outside off stump as well. And again, Tector tries to swing and misses through to the keeper. There is no run.
Yeah, difficult. Bowling here.
24 off 16.
We're getting some bants to leave off the Willie joke, so we will do that. And it's very tense out there. Gits and Grats has got a wings theme here, which I'll attempt to read after this ball, but matters are very tense here.
Certainly are. Willie, 4 balls left of his spell in this fantastic comeback series of his. Tector does get bat on that. They'll come through for the single. The throw probably went to the wrong end. Kevin O'Brien was yards short if it had gone to the to the striker's end, but Billings threw at the non-striker's end, and Tector was remarkably quick into that, given he was on bended both knees. Single to deep point. Tector finally gets off strike, gets bat on ball. 23 needed off 15. Kevin O'Brien on strike.
Willie's bowling very wide here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's nailed these wide Yorkers really well. The field's well set for it as well. I mean, that possibly would have been a wide if Tector had left it, but it's a brave call leaving a ball at this stage of the innings. Kevin O'Brien in. Willie again going for the wide Yorker, but misses his length completely. It's a full toss, and Kevin O'Brien, showing the experience of his many, many years in international cricket, just stands there, opens the face, scoops it up over backward point for 4. The game swings back in Ireland's favour. 19 needed off 14 balls. Another boundary here makes this very much Ireland's game.
As well, Gits and Grats says, you used to think that England would win this easy. You know you did, you know you did, you know you did. But in this ever-changing world of one-day cricket, it makes you give in and cry.
Again, a full wide delivery. This time he pitches it, and Kevin O'Brien misses, trying to hit it through the vacant cover region. There is no run. 19 off 13.
It really looks like he's got a stitch or something.
Yeah, I've got a feeling here that we might be seeing the last knockings of James Vince as a ODI cricketer for England, and maybe David Willey here. I don't think we can have a bowler who is an opening bowler who just can't come back after his first spell.
Come to that. Well, this is really for another time in this very tense game. Yeah. That might be a wide outside off stump. It is a wide, signalled by umpire Milnes.
Yeah, no, I was having that conversation just earlier about the fact that he's a good opener, but not.
Yeah. Willie again going for the full wide delivery. It's the correct plan, but he's just got it slightly wrong on that occasion. 18 needed off 13. I mean, David Willey in a full strength England attack wouldn't be a death bowler. He'd bowl at the top and in the middle, and he's done that.
That's where they're missing someone like Jordan as well, isn't it?
Or Archer, yes.
Archer.
There's a lot of players unavailable to England for various reasons, but they've been on top for most of this series. Not now. Another full wide delivery outside off stump. Kevin O'Brien takes the single out to cover. He'll be on strike on 13. Tech to 21. More importantly, 17 needed off 12.
I mean, 17 off 12 with the most experienced player in the side at the crease, and all the wickets you need in hand. I mean, CricViz has got England at 46%. I've got England at about 5% here. I mean, Ireland should get over the line.
I'd say 30-70.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
3 boundaries, it's more or less done.
It's never over till it's over, Gary.
Oh, it ain't over till it's over. Absolutely. You didn't do that one, did you, Macca? No, you didn't.
The hardest thing to do when you've is to break a run of losing games and losing close games. Curran in or bowl out, and this is a length delivery which Kevin O'Brien thought was in the slot. He punches it for a single down to Tom Banton. Long on rather. They come through for a single. 16 needed off 11. Just bat on ball. Make sure there are no dot balls. Very tense. Owen Morgan's face doesn't ever give very much away. Neither does Paul Collingwood's. Good men to have around this England team. Second ball of the over. A slow ball bouncer, which Tector horribly fails to read. He tries to uppercut this, but it does so jerkily as he loses all momentum. There is no run. 16 off 10. Yeah, you were talking about Gary, Tom Curran's cleverness and his willingness to bowl those variations and his mastery of them.
Well, you're never going to pick David Willey ahead of Tom Curran if you're looking for a bowler in the second half.
Length delivery pulled by Tector. It might find the gap. It doesn't quite find the gap as deep mid wicket comes around, palms it off to Banton at long on. They come through for 2. Good running by Tector and O'Brien. Another brilliant bit of work by Liam Livingston. 14 off 9 needed.
Like I said, he's our Gary Pratt, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got that away just before his feet touch the rope, and he's saved another 2 runs. He must have saved 10 runs in the field today, Liam Livingston. $14 needed off 9. 3 balls rather left of this. Tom Curran over. You might have to forgive the odd verbal slip. It's very intense here. 14 needed off 9. Full delivery. Tector backs away and drives again through the offside. He's been brilliant through the covers and through point. Gets it backward of square. 4 runs. What a knock from the young man.
Yeah, he must not be full though to Tector. Tom Curran, he learned this in the previous over. I know he has to mix it up, but never there.
He plays that so nicely.
Well, if you're going to be full, you've got to be full and wide or full in at the pads. The Yorker on off stump. Harry Tector's set himself for that. He stays leg side of the ball. 10 needed off 8. Surely Ireland can see this over the line. In comes Curran. What will he come back with? Slow ball bouncer. Tector was waiting for that. It's a good diving stop from David Willey at backward point, but they'll come through for the single. 9 needed from 7. A lot of chasing teams don't like to take it into the last over, but it looks like that's where it's going. 9 needed off 7.
Yeah, that might that's the save there from David Willey that takes the match into the last over, because that was really travelling.
Kevin O'Brien on strike. A boundary here makes the equation so much easier for Ireland. It's a slower ball, and that isn't going to be a boundary as O'Brien pushes it out to Vince on the cover boundary. They come through for a single. It goes to the last over. 2 absolute steamrollering demolitions for England in the first 2 one-day internationals of this series. But Ireland chasing 329, that score that rings so loud and clear in the minds of Irish cricket fans everywhere and fans of World Cup history. Go into the last over. 321 for 3, needing 8 runs to win. with 7 wickets in hand. I mean, come on.
Where's your percentage now, Gary?
My percentage is still probably 9 times out of 10 to Ireland. I'd say this last over is a bit like having an awkward blue, but the colours on their spots. If we're taking a snooker analogy with the world title.
I'm still 30-70 myself.
A lot of faith being shown in the young man bowling in just his 4th one-day international. This man will bowl the last over. This guy is a death bowler. He does it for Lancashire a lot. Short fine leg, short third man, cover, mid-off. We've got everyone back on the leg side. What'll Saqib Mahmood bowl to Kevin O'Brien? 8 needed off 6. We're into the last over. Full outside off stump. O'Brien down on one knee, drives into the covers. They should get 2 on this big Hampshire playing surface. Even Liam Livingston, the way he's fielded, can't prevent the 2. 6 needed off 5. Kevin O'Brien, nerves of steel. We've seen him perform.
17 off 11. He doesn't seem to have played many big shots, but it just goes to show that if you're an experienced pro, you know how to get the runs at the end of a long ODI chase.
It's within 1 hit now, but I don't think that's what Kevin O'Brien's thinking. 6 needed off 5. It'll be quite the fillip if Saqib Mahmood can rescue this for Ireland. It's a full toss. It's clipped by Kevin O'Brien. I thought that was racing away to the fine leg boundary. A little bit squarer though, out to Tom Curran on the deep square leg boundary. They come through for a single. Still only 5 needed off 4. Remember, if there is a tie, it's just a tie. Which means 5 points for both teams in the World Cup Super League, but no super overs.
Or boundary countbacks.
Indeed.
Well, he'll never have to buy himself a pint of Guinness for the rest of his life, young Harry Tector, if he hits this for 6.
Are you going to be feeding him Guinness? Are you, Gary?
No, I think the entire island of Ireland will be doing that.
5 needed off 4. Saqib Mahmood into Harry Tector. That might be a no ball, actually. It's swung by Tector out to the deep field. Banton somehow manages to beat the fielder from mid-wicket to it, and it is a no ball. It's another free hit. England's new look bowling attackers lacked the discipline of the old, and Ireland come now within 1-4. 3 needed off 4 with that free hit.
Over the line! Huh? I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's the foul.
Three needed from 4. Kevin O'Brien on strike for the free hit. Can he see Ireland over the line yet again? Full outside off stump, driven by Kevin O'Brien. They might look for 2. The match-winning 2, the match-tying 2. They have got the match-tying 2. Scores are level with 3 balls to play. Out to the long-on fielder, and for all the nerves that we've seen in the last few overs, it's been pretty nerveless for Ireland in the last couple of overs.
Yeah, I don't think England have bowled particularly well. They've bowled too full. Tom Curran a couple of times, and that was a pretty bad error from Saqib Mahmood to miss your mark so much that you give a free hit away. Although, they're under pressure as well, and you can't always do what you want when you're at the death of one of these games. So that was a pretty poor
Field is
delivery.
up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 men up in the circle. Backward point, short third man, cover point, short extra cover, mid off, quite a way up inside the circle, mid on, quite a way up inside the circle, mid wicket, square legs coming inside the circle now. Where's the one man back? Maybe fine leg. Saqib Mahmood in. A short ball outside off stump, which O'Brien tries to flay up over the infield. Everyone's up now. 1 needed off 2. Drop and run, surely.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, Tector would be on strike if they drop and run and cross, which they should do. So
There's 1 needed off 2. It doesn't matter.
Just working for you.
Oh right, in case someone gets run out.
Yeah. So drop and run. If you complete the run, you're you've won the match. If not, you've got Tector on 29 off 26 on strike. So the percentages are with drop and run here, I think.
That
I think you might be right there, Gary.
Watch for the
95-5.
Watch for the Monko. Short ball pulled out into the leg side. Ireland have won. Ireland, for the first time, have beaten England in England. They've won by 7 wickets, and in truth, they have bossed this chase. It looked nervy at various points, but wonderful hundreds from Kevin O'Brien and Paul Stirling, and nerveless stuff at the end from Harry Tector and Kevin O'Brien means that with 1 ball left, Ireland win by 7 wickets. Wonderful scenes in Southampton, and they get on the board in the World Cup Super League, and the scenes of jubilation are actually remarkably restrained in the Irish camp. But what a day for young Harry Tector in his 3rd one-day international, with Kevin O'Brien, the man who's seen it all and done it all, Ireland's first Test centurion, has beaten England almost single-handedly in a famous game 9 years ago, and maybe his calls for a new generation to come through have been heeded. What a fabulous game of cricket.
Oh, that was fantastic, and so close, right down to the wire. Brilliant, just a great advert for cricket and for Ireland too.
Yeah, 2 superb knocks by Paul Stirling and Andy Balbirnie, and then when they were looking for a couple of cameos to get them over the line, England's bowling resolve crumbled a little. I think they made some poorish decisions. I definitely think they missed the captain in the field, but that's to take nothing away from young Harry Tector, who drove the ball particularly well, and Kevin O'Brien, who used a lot of nous and a bit of muscle to get them across the line with 1 ball to spare. Congratulations, Ireland. England win the series 2-1, but the points are divided 20-10, and Ireland have got a platform now to move forward in this World ODI League. England, perhaps they have got depth as a one-day outfit, but when push comes to shove, the big players really matter, and I think they missed Ben Stokes in particular at the end, but they also missed their captain on the field.
I mean, who wouldn't? Yeah, you know, we can talk all about the players that England are missing, but Ireland are missing most of their first choice bowling attack. Remember, Barry McCarthy's injured, Boyd Rankin's injured. This is an inexperienced team, apart from O'Brien and Stirling and Balbirnie, and look, Brian to a lesser extent. Ireland did well enough just to keep the target in range. It looked like they might be chasing 400 at one point, but they came back well in the second part of that innings. Shouldn't forget the wonderful 100 by Owen Morgan, and good 50s by Sam Billings. Sorry, who scored the 100? It was David Willey scored the other 50 for England, wasn't it? And it was, I can't remember who. Tom Banton, of course, his first one-day 50. But magnificent hundreds by Stirling and Andy Balbirnie, put on over 200 for the second wicket after the early loss of Gareth Delaney. David Willey and Arthur Rashid, the only wicket takers with the ball. They've been England's best bowlers through the series. Perhaps that little extra experience that they've got, and the run out as well of Paul Stirling, which looked like it might be devastating, but no. With 29 not out and 21 not out respectively, Harry Tector have finished what Paul Stirling with 142 and Andy Balbirnie with 113 have started. Ireland deservedly win by 7 wickets.
Yeah, 7 wickets, you can't knock that, can you? Oh, fantastic win.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. We'll catch up with some tweets here. Pirate Badshaw says, I wouldn't count chickens, Gary. Nothing is over till it's over. Well, it's over now. Spicy Golden Duck says, yay, cricket. All results are possible in this ODI, and they're all good. Well, they were. Brian Barish says, Ireland might win. Dave Sarah says, anyone want to give John Mooney a call? And we'll just wrap up with some of your here. Brian Barry says, pissing the match away or no, chasing down 328 is a huge get for Ireland. Great match to wind up the series. Thanks for the commentary. Look forward to the Pakistan series. Jay Grover says, thank you all very much. Cheered me up after my traumatic venturing into the world today. Look forward to tomorrow. Hooray! Mark says, cop that, you filthy English swinehound. Channeling Victor Comic 1974 there. Lee Wicked Witch says, very well played by Ireland. See you tomorrow for the test. Anna Forsyth says, I was supporting Ireland in this version of the Anna Split Loyalties Derby. Did I not say that before? Ravi there says, I told you we'd say gallant Ireland. How how they fought. Thanks, guys. A man from Donegal, which is definitely the right hashtag, rather the right handle to have today. He says, Ireland World Cup winners 2023, get back over here, Morgan. Ralph the Wonderlama says, called it. And Pirate Badshaw says, what did I say? Retweeting his tweet to say, afternoon Sea Dogs, glad to see Adair back, glad to see them bowl first, hopefully skittle England, then a controlled chase. So on that moment of foresight and prediction, your tweets there, we'll wrap up now, and we're back tomorrow morning with the England versus Pakistan.
Yeah, the cricket comes thick and fast. The first day of the first test of England versus Pakistan. They'll be at Old Trafford. We'll be in Sydenham and various locations around England, and perhaps beyond throughout the test match. We've definitely got a guest from Singapore at various points in the series. We'll have fun, we'll have guests, we'll have test cricket back. But what a game this has been. Ireland win by 7 wickets. Congratulations to Andy Balbirnie, Paul Stirling and the rest of the Irish team. See you tomorrow at 10:50 a.m. UK time. If it's half as dramatic as this, it'll be a hell of a game. Bye-bye.
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 Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the coast.